Main two trios I'm looking at right now are Zayt, Stretch, Saf all the way at the top, and then somewhere in the middle in those names is Bizzle, Mega, and Dubs, the FaZe trio basically versus the Godfathers.
Yeah, but there's also Bucky, Kanata, and Creo, built by Solo Mid is what I'm going to call them for now. These guys have won the last two trio tournaments. I wouldn't say major, Ninja Battles, and what was the other one? Elite Cup 2. So a lot of eyes are on them as the best trio in NA East right now, but there are some challengers. Players like AV, Rogue Shark, and Knight, the X-Set trio. How are they going to fare today?
Yeah, these guys I feel are the most consistent trio at the moment in NA East. They're sitting at the top of the elite leaderboard for scrims practice day after day. Past that, though, the way consistency is kind of trumped over is through crazy plays. Through trios who aren't as consistent. They like the 50-50 height. One name to mention there for me are C, Scoped, and Illest.
Yeah, I was thinking about those, but also Commandment Scented and Edgy, maybe a little bit more consistent, but you definitely see some fire out of Commandment. And when it comes to these team modes, this is one that I'm thinking very excited about because obviously Edgy, Scented, these guys have been beasts on the West, but haven't played a large team mode over on the East yet. But adding Commandment, who is one of the most clutch players when it comes to these team modes, that could be interesting too.
Yeah, results are always tallied up after the end game in Fortnite, but I feel like we should dial it back and still look at the early game with some of these names that pop up. On that last page, we saw Calx trio all the way over at Craggy Cliffs, and I feel like Zextro Unknown are also landing towards that side, so we're going to see a little bit of that beef happen off of Som. But on this next page too, there's so many notable trios. There's actually one big fight going down at the middle of the map in Authority.
Yeah, that there is, and that's actually, you're referring to Aspect's team with Zunies and NPen, and then also some other people too. Nosh, Zypha, and Paper have been kind of figuring out, and that's kind of the mantra of today, figuring out where people are going to land during the actual season, figuring out who is going to be fighting for that spot in the first couple of weeks, and maybe even all the way into heats in FNCS. That's the question we're going to try to answer, because for some people like Acorn, Jack, and Qua, and others, like Riverson, Ronaldo, and Blake at the bottom there, they're trying to figure it all out.
Yeah, there's two different themes, basically. It's about how early game's going to look with three teams contesting one spot, whether that's Authority, Craggy, Doom's Domain, or Coral Castle. And past that, the end game playstyles. How do people win? What are the results going to look like? Who is going to be consistent over these next 6 games? And honestly, over the next FNCS season in total.
Yeah, and something to be clear about too is that a lot of these trios are new, right? And for them, it's kind of figuring out whether this is going to be a solid trio that I stick with for the entirety of the season. So if I perform well in a tournament like this, low stakes, maybe it's a sign that there's a lot to come, but who knows whether there's a honeymoon periods that we've seen time and time again of players playing so well in the beginning of the season before there's stakes on the line and then all of a sudden collapsing towards the end. We'll have to see who those are going to be this season.
Yeah, honestly, I think today we have, you mentioned new trios. I feel like just hours before this, maybe some names were thrown in because the player list we saw before, slightly different. I think Stowe Panda are looking for a third right now. It's called Genesis, used to be Crims. Not sure how the mental will hold up for these next 6 games too. But when it comes to NA East in specific, there's so much volatility in switching partners, even between qualifier weeks sometimes. So I think this is a good and kind of also maybe a bad thing, a testing ground some trios might not be able to overcome.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of that throughout the squads and trios season. Specifically, I think of trios. We had 5 weeks in trios, so it was slightly different, and that was the first time we had the series points. But you remember Zayt, Saf really struggling to find a third and ending up, I think they settled on Zypha in towards the last. They did end up placing very well, but the first time they came out with that trio, it was starting to look a little rough in terms of how well they were going to perform. And we expected them to do very well. They ended up there, but it took a lot of time.
It's different for them this season too, because last time we saw trios with these guys in Season X, their drop spot was absolutely glorious. Their entire game was structured and just, put out so that they could just do what they needed to do to win. This time is, especially just today, that is not the case. They're still trying to work on at that.
Yeah, but don't forget, they started off that drop in Season X with Bizzle. And to make it come full circle, now we're back in the trios. Bizzle is with Dubs and Mega, and that's kind of the direction they went through after they broke up with Zayt and Staff. So who knows? It could be very interesting. Obviously, they've been beefing on Twitter a lot. Doom's Domain is going to be the spot that both of these guys are fighting for, and we really don't even know what the impact of that is going to be for somebody to get that uncontested, get Doom's Gauntlets. Does that mean something like Caddy Corner, or is it slightly different this season?
Yeah, you're asking all the what's and kind of touched on the why right there, right? The reason Doom's Domain is contested by two of the hottest and probably best trios in the region is because of Doom's Gauntlets, the Mystical Bomb, as well as I think the only vault that is there on the map right now. And, due to 50% chest spawn rate, getting loot, getting shields is so important. It's almost guaranteed. There's only one spot on the map to get it. So whichever trio does just has a complete power boost over everyone else in the entire region.
Yeah, that it does. And we don't know how it's going to continue to unfold this season. There's still a lot of hints at a lot of different things to change. So who knows? This might not even be a preview in all fairness. But we're getting ready very close to start the games. We have 90 in queue, so a little bit time left before all these guys finally wake up, get out of bed, and get ready for scrims at 6 p.m. on the East Coast. But these guys are slow.
I mean, one thing they're fast at, though, and the final quick notes I want to put out is how these guys will start to rotate in end games and what cool, height takes can we see with utility. Just going back with that theme, Season X, the old trios, Clix's trio, the way they always took height late with shockwaves back in the game again. I'm just curious to see what crazy things we're going to be seeing past like the 15-minute mark in game, and super excited for these next 6 games.
Yeah, the reminiscent of Clix's trio where it's like, go crank for height. All right, I'm cranking. Go. I got height. Oh, my goodness. Legendary clips. We'll see if that's going to happen today. Obviously, we won't be watching streams. We'll have the live spec mode, which really in NAEs, people aren't used to yet. So I think the only times we've ever seen it for broadcasts is, some of those regional tournaments like the Battle for the Boroughs, and like Intel Elite Cup, for example, but since then, not really much in terms of that. So this is going to be live, no replay modes, but also no stream. So we won't be able to get to listen to comms, but at least we get to see literally everybody playing with no streaming requirements.
Yeah, you can see the end games as they happen. You can see these off-spawn fights and mid-game pushes, hopefully not in the storm, as they transfer and happen as well. So let's see exactly how it goes. I believe the lobby is almost fully filled up. One big thing that people don't talk about enough, I feel like, too, is the way the bus actually starts off has a big impact on how these trios actually move out on their first game.
Does it, though?
I think it does. I think it does. Rotations, like specifically, there's some trios who are always like, why were we so bad on Surge this game, right? And Surge is another big topic we can talk about in a few of these games. It's like getting the hills faster, getting your drop spot cleared out before everyone else. It's a big thing I don't think people think about enough, but either way, nominal at best. The big thing to focus on is still the names that are fighting.
Yeah, I mean, to go back a little bit, I think it does have a big impact, but it's not something that people really care about because they don't want to change because they're so committed to their drops that it doesn't matter for them. But in the grand scheme of things, that is multiple seconds that they have to shave off of whatever they're doing in that game. So, yeah, good point. We'll see how things go. I mean, we might see some very, very fast drops and for that, get some really good positions. Specifically, I think of like a team like Booga, Chap, and Jamper. These guys are positional, like they think about this.
Say it. Finish.
Positional.
You're not gonna say it?
They're position. Yeah,
there
of
we
course
go.
I will. But they are, though. You remember even squads for them, even trios. These guys will always spread out across the map to really solidify that strategy where you end up getting all the surge that you ever need in one fell swoop, just getting the bases up, spread out, and all that space where you basically negate zone RNG if you're spread out like that as a trio.
And trios for these guys, too, kind of ironically, have been, I think, one of the roughest, or team modes, I would say, past duos and solos, where they get contested off spawn. It's been a thing. Booga with Inspire, all the way at Moisty Palms, and then Chap with Arab over at Frenzy Farms as well. I'm not sure if I said the same POI twice. Anyways, they sound very similar. These guys are now on the same team, hopefully not getting completely griefed or contested immediately for multiple games. That'll be a cool storyline to follow in itself. Endgame, though, I feel like that these guys paired with the X-Set trio with their low ground strategies will have some competition, and it won't be very, very safe for both these guys.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think that some of their spots are abusable in a sense, but they're not like fully spots that will get contested, right? You think of the weather station caddy split that Booga, Chap, and Jamper have, and while it's good overall, there's not so much loot there that there's going to be a full trio landing on the exact spots, right? If anything, they're going to be battling these little like guerrilla warfares on the side of the mountains and stuff like that to grab extra loot. But beyond that, I don't see them having too much risk involved.
Absolutely. I feel like we're almost in game, getting ready to go. People are just getting their seats selected and chosen on the battle bus. Past that, we've dropped all the storylines for you guys to kind of keep track of. Just pay attention to drop spots and end game, the positions for where everyone's at. Once again, shout out to War Legend. We have some really cool tools I'm excited to use as soon as we get into game, and I'm just hyped.
Yeah, same here. The battle bus, or the island has launched. They'll be on the bus in a second. We'll hop into games. We won't keep you waiting anymore. The casters will press the button in a couple of seconds so that these guys can launch on forward, but we'll still have to see a little bit longer, I guess. Regardless, there's a lot of time. We're going to be watching these guys. We got 6 games of NA East action, and while it might still replicate the scrim environment, there's a little bit more because, you know, everybody's watching. We got eyes on them this time, and we're watching literally everybody. So these spawn fights will be important. We've got the game ready, so let's hop on over to that screen and take a look at what all has already started off. And we do have, of course, the uncontested spots for Clicks and crew at Craggy Cliffs. And as you can see, only one team at Doom's Domain so far.
Yeah, right now it looks like it's going to be easy grabbings for not only that vault we were talking about, how much loot there is in there, all the shields, but past that, there's another extra team now possibly contesting somewhere else. The north side entirely right now looks pretty uncontested, which is unusual compared to what we've been seeing in scrims.
Yeah, very, very deep splits, except for the Craggy team, which we've seen already land over towards the main building so they can get those slurp barrels. There's a fight for Jack against NPen, who, if I remember correctly, is at the authority. I did see Booga's team be mostly uncontested on their splits. And then, of course, Doom's Domain, the big surprise for me, uncontested there too.
Bandouche right now at Sweaty Sands, this is one perspective that I really haven't had an experience of seeing how it's broken down. I believe most of the time Sweaty and Elite is contested throughout every single season. These guys have had a rough start in scrims, at least for the past week, losing over and over again. I think they're somewhere near the bottom side of the leaderboard. But right now surviving, I think Haji's down, so 2v3, we'll see how it works. Over at Retail Row, I mean, we had a conversation about this the other day, Balla. Not many people might be throwing enough respect to this POI. Just when it comes to hot dropping or just the culture, the way Fortnite's going now, with Caddy in the mix with Doom's Domain. Still, though, it's not gonna. I'm gonna say being split completely. There's 2 teams landing here, fighting for loot.
Yeah, some of the legends of Retail Row have kind of, you know, moved away from Fortnite. I think specifically about Cloud's former teammate Thwifo. Booga's obviously gone in different ways in terms of teammates as well. Remember that from squads? This was a big spot for them where they were fighting multiple times and then eventually got it uncontested in the grand finals, but didn't do too much after that. Here's the fight still, Nosh against Nico. We tuned in a little bit earlier with this, and they're definitely in some trouble. Haji down, and I think Paper, Nosh and crew have controlled the height, have controlled the hotel, which means that they can not only disengage into the other houses and get the most of the loot as well, but they keep them contained here inside the hotel.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tough spot to really kind of get out of to another place that has good loot. Towards the south, I believe that's Knifer's entire trio that takes every single house, every single chest away from anyone else who's just trying to rotate right through there in the early game. I feel like these guys are just delaying the inevitable right now. I don't think there's a chance that Bandouche is going to be able to come up and get a pump uncontested, unnoticed. He's trying to, though. Moving up slightly. Not many mats available. It's a big one, too. A purple. Pump in the inventory. A big shot that actually lands down. And third parties all the way from the right side. Paper's there to set the trap. Now Bandouche is completely stuck between a rock and a very, very difficult hard place all the way on high ground.
Yeah, but he's taken it. Zypha has had to give it up, and what they did there was very, very nice from Zypha, but Bandouche will challenge with the epic pump and make him pay. They have to drop down. Now they have control. Now they can start to fight back as the 2v3. Zypha has gone off into other places, but I do like the idea from Zypha to stay up on height, let the rest of the team loot the rest of Sweaty Sands before rotating out. We do have first zone for them, so this fight will be extended. It will take a long time, unless right here is where they disengage, but Zypha with a car, the whiplash, I'll back all the way off. That's the end of the fight.
They're gone. The only other notable fight was at Authority. I don't think there's a team that's fully been taken out yet. Aspect is still alive somewhere over there, just trying for a way to survive. Now we have Kanata, Bucky, and Creo already done their rotation in the early game, have the shields, and on the move in Weeping Woods.
Yeah, the important part is the timing for Kanata and crew. They are all gone out of Slurpy Swamps and rotating before the first zone has started to move, and they're far from Slurpy. They're far from that main structure. They're already hitting the zip lines over towards center zone to get that good position. So having uncontested Slurping, you can see the speed that they have getting out of there is so important.
Once again, we're talking about the unusual patterns on the north side. I don't believe I've seen them really leave that fast many times before. They like to take their time, loot up, group up for the Chuck Splash shields as well, and just try to track those before they get their loot. So it's going to be interesting to see how the teams on the left side of the map actually end up dealing with that. Here's the result or almost ending of that authority fight. And another trio that Bala pointed out right before this game started up, Edgy Commandment, Scented. I would say is just one beast and two people from the west. Clutch West or something. Commandeering the West. I'm working on the name of exactly what it's going to be. It'll roll off the tongue a little bit better, but these guys are already rotating out too. So all these guys who have their loot pads, have their POIs uncontested, on the move looking for Surge. Other people locked down at Sweaty and Authority.
Yeah. Well, they had this fight that they've ended up cleaning up. Aspect was hiding in the corner. A full charge shot will clean that up. They've got to now refarm up and find some extra loot. Authority is kind of lacking in that regard since the season. There's no more of that vault. Meanwhile, not similar. This is actually Kanata and crew who fought for position so early. Now on top of Stowe, not Panda, and COD Genesis. And this is an uncomfortable situation. They're all stacked up on top of each other, and they're positioning to see whether either side wants to fight. But I think for now, with the high ground that Bucky and crew have, they're just going to stop, just condition them to stay down low and continue to look at range for shots with Bucky's scoped AR, for example.
What a good choice to actually base up here by BB or built by Solo Mid in general. The coolest thing about this new spot that's kind of shown up, this little, I would say, Ant-Man mini doghouse, is that there's a rift here. And it's a new central hub on the entire basically map that a lot of the people from both the south and the left side like to rotate to maybe see if there's a rift, if there's free rotation. Now there's a fight actually with Bucky, as Panda's kind of had enough and pushed a little bit for high ground. Bucky is now moving out, kind of the center point for this entire fight. The person who's going to be beaming, putting down the most communications, gets a few shots out, but nothing actually connects, just pressure. Possibly moving box to box. It is COD Genesis. Once again, a new trio here who might not be as synergistic. Bucky, though, with his builds and shots, is moving side by side between both of them expertly, landing the shots, getting nice control of every single wall and build. But now the fight, though, slows down.
You can see that Bucky does not want to get close to them. You could tell how much of a stacked lobby this is right now with just his movements and the way that he's playing this, making sure that he does not get put in a situation where just a little bit of delay on a shot or anything like that will cause him so much trouble. So he's keeping that range, even though the team did aggress on them, until we start to even this out. There's 89 players alive. Two trios have completely fallen, one of those being Aspect, Zuni's, and his final member who fell at the Authority. I don't quite know who the other one was. But meanwhile, Kanata's down here farming as much as he can, getting right back up to position after they've taken the height off that team.
The Sweaty Sands trio is also gone. That's good for the POV we're watching right now of Bucky, Creo, Kanata. One less person to kind of rotate from Sweaty and give them trouble. A lot of brick available in this basement as well. One other notable elimination on the map right now, Blake Epps is down, the man who was landing Coral Castles with Riverson and Ronaldo. So not sure exactly how the fight broke down all the way up top. There's a little bit of third-party action going on there too. But it's very close to this specific POI, just a little bit of a run away, a boat or a car drive.
There they are in the background there. Oh, Macklin looks like he's by himself against Furious and a couple of others. Former teammates too, and Furious will take him down. Where's Clicks? Where's Kauk in that fight? Ronaldo's pouncing. That's Riverson's teammate too. They're in that distance, and it's a multiple-way fight. There's Chaotic and Unknown. Don't see Zexor and Toes. Kauk gets taken down by Furious too. There we are. We're on that POV as well. Avery's going to take a couple shots from the backside. Riverson and Ronaldo spraying through to try to at least tag Furious as he goes for the loot. I think that trio is completely done for. Kauk and crew and coming in. Oh, it's on the north side here by Doom's Domain, so I was wondering where that item is. Where's Doom's Gauntlets and the Mystical Bomb?
They're active. They're here. And every team is not going to really be scared, but keep track of it. Taken out by Zexro from the backside. I'm not sure how or where these fights are breaking out, but they are. Many trios affected. Clicks is the only one left alive from Mac and Calx. Has not been eliminated yet, so we're wondering and seeing exactly what's actually going down between him and Zexro.
A big Elim. Knight onto Saf. Zexro's finished Has. He gets that house and hopefully gets to catch up with his teammates Chaotic and Unknown. You can see how far ahead they are. Furious is going to be in that position too. And Avery and Zona, he might try to chase, but Zexro's found the whip. He's out of here. He's speeding on out of Doom's domain. Here's Clicks 2. Last POV of his team. Calc and Mac would obviously we saw go down. He might be going for the reboot. Although he's already all the way down towards Salty, so maybe there's a chance. But so many teams still at Doom's domain, still trying to have an impact on whatever is left in this area. Avery also trying to get a reboot up on Has. And Shark, there he's done. He's done it again. That's Zate down. NRG Godfather. The Godfathers now only have one left, and it's all up to Stretch, which also means that Xset might have all of that mythic loot.
I haven't seen a POV of these guys with that loot, but I have seen what they're doing here done before. Landing all the way down at Fortilla, not being contested, you're seeing the effect of that on the north side here as well. You never get to have damage or do surge off of spawn. You're forced to fight teams like Zexro did with Has we saw on screen, and that's exactly what AV's, the Xset trio, does as well. They jump in that box simultaneously with 3 players, get it down, get it done, and that's the big damage that was dealt onto the Godfather's trio.
Ronaldo and crew lurking still at the vaults. We did get the reboot up on Has. So behind them is Avery, Furious, and Has. But in second zone, this is going to start ticking a little bit harder. Ronaldo has 2 medkits. He should be fine with Riversun. They were trying also to get their own reboot, but the Tonka truck is here. They're going to go over the bridge and get into Salty with no problem.
Blessing in disguise, really, because that's a 2-seater car. Only 2 people alive. Maybe that's planned elimination for faster rotates. I'm playing, but there's so many things you can do with this season. Narwhal, Ace, and Glace, these guys I think have had the most trouble out of any trio here so far to find identity, to find a spot. But right now they have made a pseudo port of fort and are looking pretty good towards the top spot. Getting affected though and getting taken over. Now into a random box fight. I'm not sure how or from where this fight starts or comes in. Either way, it's happening. Not sure who the opponents are, but Narwhal's there at the bottom side with an LMG. One person taken out. It's an advantage for Ace, Narwhal, and Glace right now. Narwhal, no eliminations just yet, but they have one for this fight. Taken over on the wall. Nice trade of shots. Ace gets the big one down, but takes a little bit more than they can chew, mining back up. They have position now, and they have one elimination in this fight.
This fight important for them. They're way above. Nice play from Clicks. He's playing by himself, by the way, in a full box fight against what looks like 3 players. Who's this in front of him? I think Nico? No. He's moving too fast. I can't even see. Surge now active. Acorn will take out. Clicks is getting tagged by it. We've lost the Surge leaderboard before I could even really peek at it. And Zexro in the mix too. They did get up with his teammates.
Clicks is here right now trying his best. Vivid, Zizlucky, and Lazar are now also in trouble as a result of a few people getting eliminated. Clicks is down now. Now it's just Fatch. Never mind, it's flipping back and forth. Fatch and Nemo are 56 below Surge, with Rox and AJ who are 59. Both these trios will be fighting for damage. 2 teams left. Acorn taken out by Goosh.
Still 2 teams left. Vivid says Lucky and RP did just barely get over with only 6 damage. And this was a team fighting against one of those who were underneath. I think that's a wrap for Acorn, Jack, and Qua, who came out of the Authority after beating Aspect and company. Maybe not enough loot for them to really make that rotation all the way through. We still have Surge active. Vivid has switched now. Nemox and Fash got over, so they might get beaten. Yes, no heals left. There might be down, says Lucky to Surge. Vivid, one more tick. There's a flopper, take it. One chance, yes. And Surge will not take him out. He's trying to get the card still. And now it's Rox and AJ who've gone down, and Shark is taking advantage of that too. So that team's starting to accrue a lot of points due to eliminations. One on a huge trio of Zayt, Saf, and Stretch. And now they're taking the pickings of Surge.
And now we're seeing this pattern of trios trying to devolve down into duos, basically, because of Surge and all these fights. Rox and AJ are left by themselves. Vivid and Lazar, we're watching them too. Vix has been taken out by that Surge, as I mentioned before. These guys are med-kitting and heal gaming in third zone.
And they have to. And nobody's going down. Finally, we have some Doom Gauntlets going on, and we know that's from AV and XSET. He's going to be gone. Nobody else is falling. NA East not letting anything affect them. And Rock's pretty much the only person who has to look for a fight. Everybody else does not care at all. Vivid does, though, onto Typhoon. We've got a reboot. We've got a reboot. A full trio's back in the game, and now they're also going to get taken out. Nemox and Fatch, all of a sudden, who thought they were safe, are now down below Surge. It's still active, and third zone has not started moving. Actually, no, it's already closing. We might go into fourth with the second and third zone Surge still active. Finally, it goes down.
You cannot prepare for this. This is where you really just have to adapt and be the best player you can be, because I've actually never had the opportunity to see it last that long, that fast on broadcast before.
There's no breaks right here at NA East because of how they play the Surge strategy. I mean, there was a lot of box fights up towards Doom's domain. I think those guys all had a plan to maybe try to really affect those teams. It will affect them later on with the Mythics, but one Surge down and instantly we already get the notifications back on the screen. Yep.
Yeah, you were right with no breaks at all. Now it's more teams who are in there, all side by side. One tag can separate every single one of them. Avery has. Although a reboot was underway, it's time to shut down again. It's not even the beam, it's the box fight that stops them. Zexro's there to finish up the job that he started. Has down again. Furious and Avery taken out. And they're still getting beam. Fash and Nemo looking for their tags. Looks like they're way up above now, though.
No worry. Look how all the teams who we were paying attention to have switched. Obviously, there's a lot more players surged right now because of how many more there are above that 50-player threshold. So these guys might still be way low. Finally, we see Shark, AV, and Knight X set with the mythic items.
These guys are ready to go, and it's so good, this zone for them with the damage that they have. They are sitting in Weeping Woods, a place where you can't actually look that much for tags due to the trees. In the shadows, just waiting for their time to strike with this loot. Everyone else, though, has such a harder time in getting these surge tags. All sightlines kind of blocked from high to low ground. Side by side, low ground's also very hilly. You can't really edit and look for shots. You really have to put yourself out there. You might get beamed in return. No one's really going up from surge at all still. Agers and Daxor left as a duo.
Some major teams who I would not expect to be down low. Knifers, Lemon, Snake, who you talked about their split slightly south of Sweaty Sands. They got zoned for a majority of this game, especially in the first and second, and we saw how much fighting was going up north near them. To me, they should have been above, but instead, AV, Knight, and Shark are the kings of this lobby right now. They've got 4 elims. And looking for more action. They're just completely silent because they know they need nothing right now. Look at that loadout. Look at the kit, the bounce pads, the shockwaves. They've got 4. And you know how far this season those will take you.
We've got the God Cam footage right now of many different trios. Class, Eclipse, Jamper, Knight, all looking for beams, all guns firing, cylinders moving fast. They've got their tags now, though. Class gets clapped back just a little bit. He has to move all the way back. Eclipse is still sitting up high looking for his. Jamper on the bottom left, I feel like, is in one of the most comfortable positions next to AV. They have shockwaves ready to fly, ready to go. AV's trio, the X-Set guys, deciding who actually has that Doom's Gauntlet to be able to throw for the end game. Did these guys get an elimination on the bottom left? They did. Strap, yes. Jamper, and Chap. So Buka is not playing today. Get some bonus loot, but are still in the box fight scenario.
See where they end up going. We saw X-Set try to pressure actually the team on height, which is Eclipse, Hoofishy, and Class right now. Maybe very, very huge impact on them, but I believe they have zone So potentially going to take that. And we do now have to worry about that in general, because this is season 4 and there's no more caddy. The comms of that Doom's Gauntlet being active, it's AV with it, and that will affect teams on mid ground, even all the way down to low ground, if it's not even fired at you, just because of the audio that overtakes and makes everything so difficult. Bucky, Creo, and Kanata looking for a refresh, and they're looking very hard.
Guys are playing their classic top-down part with the edits all the way near ultimate low ground. No one's really moving just yet, so they might not be able to get any edits down on anyone else. But here are our kings of the lobby on the left side, Eclipse Lake Class, who Fishy on the right side with Doom's Gauntlet, the X-Set trio. Which way will the zone pull is the big question. The map is hidden for suspense effects, and they are now tossing bombs across the stadium. I think that's going to be in line for the X-Set trio to move with, but regardless of that, these are the POVs for mid-ground, the people who don't have guarantees, the people in trouble to move around as Storm Surge is active. Unknown, Zexro, and Chaotic have to really get going and catch up with the rest of the server. They have a nice free rotate uphill, sticking the natural low that is high.
This is so solid for them. And this surge is going to be huge in the 7th zone when it goes active for so many people. Animal, Knifer, because this is not going down in NA East. It does stay up. We are going to have some squad fire onto a team near them, and they've all of a sudden switched from a pretty high layer as it goes up over the hill to ultimate low in an instant, not because of the decision, just because that's what they ended up getting. And X-Set up above is going to start to pressure them too.
This might seem like a road, it might seem like a highway, but don't get it confused. This is a demolition derby. All these lanes will start to crash towards each other very, very fast. Cypher also trying to control low ground. This is the meta for the season, the safest place to be. But every trio wants to be here, and Doom's Gauntlet is drizzling. Not even raining just yet from up top on every single box. Still people getting affected by Surge as we get into the 7th zone. 36 people alive. Coop and Keys active in the feed though as Eclipse and Class get taken off of height.
Yeah, that they do. That means X-Set's up there. That means they are raining down terror with the gauntlets. Zypha did get pressured for a second there by Chat, but he will push him off. Knight now taking advantage of the team way below Surge. They're dropping on them and clearing them out. Scented just above 2. That's going to end finally. We're going to the 7th zone with 28 players alive. 12 teams still alive, so the majority of placement still available.
Mid-ground update, Animal takes out Zexro's entire trio as they have to move along. Jamper still getting elimination side by side. Acorn's also out of the competition from what I see so far. Paper looking at the bottom left to see what he can do. Scope's gone down from Season Illis' trio. They cannot contest height in their normal 50-50 fashion. They have to play low, but we know how well Zypha's controlling that right now. Bucky has also picked up a few eliminations. It is so loud in my ears right now due to these gauntlets. I can't hear anything, and these players can't do much to counter it at the moment either. It's chaos completely. They just have to play box to box. Elim's going down in the feed. This is a little bit quiet, though, a little bit calmness for Paper as he moves along.
For once, not having the audio is a savior for us. We are going to get it turned back on. Paper ends up taking out one down below for the impact and the siphon. There it is. Cease Illist and Scope down in 9th place. Shark Knight and AV look to have a free ride on that highway. And they are the ones who are causing this demolition derby to explode in towards the 8th and 9th zone as the space constricts. They're the boa constrictor, ending low ground and making them so distracted. You see a team Strobe go down specifically because of that. AV and Shark will finish them off. Narwhal still alive with Glace. We saw them earlier. 6 teams now. Going to be a lot of solos. And he will take out Zypha. There's the knock finally. Looking in zone. AV's trying to get him. He does have that group's ball to heal up if he needs to. No worries yet. And there it is.
Puts it down, but now does not have it anymore. Just one shockwave left. Actually, I'm seeing a couple of shockwaves from multiple trios. X-Set is still popping off, though. 3 trios left.
3 trios remaining.
7 people.
Chap. Jamper's stretch has made it all the way from the low ground play. They were pressuring Zypha, and they are going to come down now. Knight, X-Set, a little early. They will take down the file. Now it's a 3v3. The shockwave up. Chat will start to play. Shark's still up there, but they're isolating them. And yes, they've taken out Strap. Chat, remaining player. And it will be X-Set who will clean up. I thought that was going to go a different way in the last seconds there, but they cleaned up house with the way that they played. So X-Set will take game number 1 of the War Legend Invitational here for NAE, and in magnificent fashion, taking out the Godfathers, Zayt, Saf, and Stretch early and just completely dominating the rest of the game.
Yeah, they literally and figuratively took the dictator position away from Zayt and just had their rule on the entire server at the end. I don't think anyone really contested them past the 7th zone. And I think that's thanks to both the Doom's Gauntlet and just the way that zone kind of played out entirely. But what a way to control a game and what a way to just put on a show.
I think some of the big names are missing, specifically because of them, obviously, but also some of the guys who have the willingness to go for height. People like Macwood, Calc, and Clicks. These are guys who will contest for that. Dubs, Mega, and Bizzle were not in that game, and obviously Zayt, Saf, and Stretch will look for that continuously in these games. So maybe that had a factor because they were all gone. They were not even in. Made it so easy for them because, like you said, they didn't get challenged at all. But I do want to point attention right here to the 13, my math there, a little off. 13 eliminations for them in the first game, plus the win for X sets, looking very solid.
The biggest thing I think for these guys is they actually got to have their own game plan the entire game. We checked through all these multiple teams the entire time. They were affected by Surge every single moment we were getting updated with them. Due to that one fight and the tags these guys had, they got to play out a perfect game. Let's see, though, how that perfect game related into the standings and who these guys actually affected to fall down on the leaderboard because these guys have to be in first place.
Yeah, in first place by a lot. That right there is 28 points, the lead right now for them against Stroke, Goosh, and Statsy, who appear to have fragged out as well. Coop, Skittles, and Tabs G2. A team who plays fourth and a team who plays second are up above Jamper Chap and Strep, not playing with Booga today. And because of that, this looks a little different than I expected. I really expected Chap and crew to be up there, but they only got 6 elims in that game. 2 trios wiped out. And then the third place to Narwhal, Ace, and Glace. And they did have that southern side position that they ended up playing off of kind of near Slurpy Swamps, but I don't think they had it completely. One trio missing that we saw all together. Creo, Kanata, and Bucky are not in the top 8 right now from a position where I think they should have, but they got really engaged early on. They did get 9th place in this, but only 2 elims.
Yeah, they're at 11th place overall. I think Bucky was the guy who might have got both those eliminations, just looking top down. Creo might have been another pickup there. But the big thing I'm noticing here is a bunch of these teams who were top 5 had altercations in the mid game. And then also eliminations towards the end style of the game too. That might help with the overall elimination counter in itself, but also with Surge, which I think is going to be the hardest thing for all these teams.
Look at 13th place, Jock, Qua, and Acorn. 18th place in that game, but 7 eliminations. And that is definitely scary. We obviously saw them take out off-spawn Authority, and then they wiped another full trio before going down in 18th place. So maybe a little W key action from them, which is definitely not what I expected for them going into this season. I expected them to play, for the win, because these are the guys who everybody knew in FNCS Duos was good for 2 out of 6 wins. They had something like a 20% win rate in all of their finals games. Ridiculous from them. We move on to the next page too, and there's more.
Surprising for me to see Eclipse Class and Hoofisher here behind Hasfierce Avery, Sizz, Vivid, and Lazar, because those 2 trios were the ones that we saw who had the most trouble in this game, overcoming not only the aggression from multiple people's angles and beams, but Surge in itself as well. I mean, these guys had high ground over where Half and Half was about to get shown off. And yes, they got taken over, 16th place, now in 19th rank overall on the leaderboard. A little bit surprising. Past that, though, a few trios that I feel like might have slow starts every single day. Also got to see end games, though. Kaz, Kern Dog, Polarized. They were here 17th place, right behind Eclipse Class and Hoofishy from that last game. Didn't actually get to their portion of the game where they get to pop off. Stow Panda and COD Genesis, they got into a fight, have free Surge against Bucky too, but surprisingly did not were not able to last the entire game.
Yeah, I think they ended up certainly under Surge, but 19th place is where they ended, which was in that end game in that one. Remember, there were so many teams alive as we approached into that 5th and the final zone. So definitely a situation for them where they've got to fix. Kaz, Kern Dog, and Polarized, like you said, a team that definitely might start off slow, but they are hot and cold. That is a team that will end up really, really pushing up. I think on this last page, there might be a little bit wrong there. AV Knight and Shark were obviously in first place. We saw that for sure. There is the Godfather trio, which is Zayt, Stretch, and Saf in 30th place. looks like maybe what we ended up seeing is a switch of the placements there. But regardless, 0 points. They didn't even get to that first threshold at all, which is, I think, all the way up towards 17th place. So not even there, and then no eliminations too.
The two teams that stand out that I don't think should be or are ranked 29 and 30. Cal Clicks Macwood, and then the Godfather trio of Zayt, Stretch, and Saf. These guys always start off competitions hot. They're always kind of chilling when it comes to game 1 and game 2, starting off any 6-game formats. But over here, both taken out, having trouble. I wouldn't even say from their drops, just early game total, which is surprising. Past that, other trios, Legendary and Typhoon, Summer Rae, I feel like these guys aren't exactly where they should be or need to be, but these guys have had historical troubles getting high placements in these type of elite stack lobbies, but still show up when they're allowed to or get to endgame. Yeah. Cody, though, and D-Roller, two solo standouts, having trouble in trios.
Yeah. A lot of different teams that I think we'll see how they progress over time. One thing I do want to note is Dubs, Mega, and Bizzle did not make it in that game. I don't know if they have their full trio, which might be the reason why they didn't make it in on time. Regardless, what that has impact on is actually the Godfather trio, Zay, Saf, and Stretch, uncontested at Doom's Domain, right? And then they gift. They're like, here's neatly wrapped and everything for Xset to end up taking the game too. For them not to be able to capitalize off of Doom's Domain for free, I mean, they did have that. I guess they must have been very quick on their toes to get that dead side rotates through Sweaty Sands all the way to the south side of the map before it. Not ending up working out because they ran right into Xset. Now they're going to be contested if, of course, Dubs and Mega and crew end up getting in. We don't know who the fill is or who's missing or anything like that. But what we do know is that they were not in that game, and they would have been contesting against Saf, and Stretch. So that situation, because of that, is basically completely reset, clean slate for both the teams heading into this game number 2, which means that things could get very, very interesting from here on out.
It was very unique for Xset as well because these guys had a left side zone, which is why Zay kind of stayed around on this side of the map and maybe rotated for the dead side of Weeping Woods, and how these two trios clashed might not be able to happen again. The Xset trio might feel a little bit too excited to maybe start to take height and play a little bit more aggressively than usual. But I think these guys know it was the gauntlets that allowed them to do what they did for so long. They'll go back to their low ground type of gameplay immediately next game if the zone goes anywhere else. But Weeping Woods, we can see what it does to all these trios when they're forced to go towards the left side of the map.
Yeah, and we'll continue to see how these zones and how these rotates end up. I think that's something that we should focus on a little bit, is how these guys will rotate through in the mid game and all of that, because as we progress through the season, this is going to happen time and time again in these Sunday finals. And when we get into heats and grand finals, if those are really what they've gotten, if they've really impacted them or stopped them entirely, that might mean that for a long time, they're going to have to fix and adjust. And the impact, while we might not be able to really go over it with a fine-tooth comb and figure out what the impacts are, they are happening. And that's why they have tournaments like this to practice and figure it out and fix mistakes, clearly, like they just had.
Yeah, I believe Games 2 has started, so we'll see how these mistakes end up getting fixed and what these guys will adjust to. Even some of the best positions, things didn't work out for Trios last game. Let's see how Game 2 looks. We'll be diving in just a moment. Soon these guys are in the bus. Balla, hot Trios will call out. You've already talked about Zay a little bit. Is there anyone else really that you feel like had a chance last game but didn't really show up all the way on the leaderboard?
Hoofishy, Class, and Eclipse. I mean, they had a fifth zone stare-off against the team who ended up winning Xset, and they ended up losing it completely just from a little pressure from one of the gauntlets and, of course, the Mystical Bomb, too, that they carried all the way through. That's definitely something that I want to see them be able to hold on a little bit more. We do have the game started. We do have the game full, so all the trios who are playing did make it in, which means what we just talked about will end up coming to pass. Can't wait to see how that all unfolds. But yeah, Eclipse, Hoofishy, that's the team. That's the team. These guys did not capitalize on what they had.
I'll follow on that position too. For me, Bucky, Cleo, Kanata were one trio that had a very good position, but had the best for Surge, did not fully capitalize on it. We'll see how they end up doing things in Game 2. But the game's ready. Let's end up diving in and seeing what will change for Game 2 for all these teams. Xset's trio all the way on the bottom side of the map controlling Flotilla. A bunch of people now who might be contested. I'm still looking over at Doom's Domain, and it still looks like there's just one team there.
Yeah. Just one team, and we have 33 teams in, so Another attempt for Sap and Stretch. Another attempt for them to show why they have such an influence in the lobby season after season. Meanwhile, look at the split from Shark, AV, and Net. I don't know if we can pull up the map on this team right now because they are so far spread on one of the biggest POIs down there, Fortilla. And then they have more. We even see it, Jamper, Chap, and Strep. They're doing the same split that they always do. There are a couple fights. Ronaldo, Blake Epps, and crew fighting off a lot. Stark Robotics has. But just to give you an insight on how these trio fights are going and how the splits are going too. Wide splits for a lot of the biggest teams. Other teams who might not have had an impact early on in the seasons are fighting, like Cloud, Fernando, and Icy right now.
Fernando's already taken out. Icy has taken a lot of shield damage too. Both kind of left over on their old house. Icy actually takes out Smacked. So 2v2 in total for these guys. Still, look at the loot, look at the timing of this fight. It's going to be very messy. Talk about adapting. This is just going to be roughing it completely for both these trios. It's just Keys and Casker that are left on the north side of retail. More fights breaking out throughout the entire map. There's a lot of legs missing from every single trio right now.
There is a wide, different POV on a lot of teams. Daxter, Agers, Assaults fighting at Coral Castle. I believe the remnants of the fight that happened earlier. Assault's pouncing. So look at the bottom right now at how this is unfolding. Coral Castle. It was a three-way fight to start. Now just a two-way. Assaults and crew will try to clean up Legedian, Summer, and crew. And they've already got Legedian down. I believe Summer left by himself in a 1 versus 3 against Daxter, Assaults, and crew, and he's starting off almost nicely onto the side of Daxter, but he'll back off and let the team come from behind. A nicely executed pinch, and there we go. The fight done. Coral Castle is theirs.
This is going to context into why possibly the Blake, Riverson, Ronaldo trio might not be taking off and flying throughout every single game. They did get one elimination before they went down. Legend and Samurai and Typhoon as well took out 3 different people. But both these guys will have their leaderboard spot not moving for this game. It's just interesting, though, in Game 2 to see all these teams who weren't fighting before really starting to fight. I think because of the results of Storm Surge last game. You really need to get damage where you can, and off spawn is one of the places where it's almost easiest.
Easiest and easier said than done, I think. Especially after teams make their adjustments. You can already see Zuni's and Pen and Aspect surviving much longer than they did last time, avoiding the 50-50s, seeing how the other team is going to play. And he's going to creep up even more. Another fight. That's still the one at Retail Row. Casker smacked in Keys against what has to be Cloud and crew. Zuni's, the top left, getting closer. Might actually get the jump. Pen and Aspect might be trying to bait down. This fight in Retail Row is so rough on the backside. He gets the wall too. Casker not playing with this correctly as he was trying to get the heal. He goes in the box anyways aggressively, and not a stair taken. Icy with the edits. Keys will dive onto him, and he does end up winning that, but now 3 HP for him. Has to get the Siphon, another player in there. Yes, he blocks. 53 HP. That means he only had 3 after that entire exchange. Another wall taken. Oh, a big pump, but Cloud will finish it off. And now they get to reboot and move forward from there.
Fernando gets to see another day, another life. Icy, I would say, is the carry for that fight all the way in the beginning. But right now, there's 2 different trios at Castle. Where are these fights breaking out? This is crazy. Never really seen 2 trios really bunker down like this.
This is all the way at Castle. Don't forget, these guys were fighting at Sweaty Sands last time, so maybe they ended up following and making sure that they completely influenced them and ruined the tournament. Starting off strong. Shark also finding one. Zuni's finally getting jacked, but instantly gets traded Aspect too, so multiple fights breaking out along the map. Paper, though, these guys hunting all the way to the castle out on the side of the map. How does this happen?
They must have given up a lot over at 20 Sand, or both trios split it, and then one got chased down all the way over to Castle. Still, 6 people being here. Pretty unorthodox right now. Paper found a way in. A key through the door. I'm not sure if Haji got to see him just yet. No trios down so far, but Paper did land the first big shot. Haji, no shield. There is one pocket shockwave. Could be used from Paper if possible. Zypher's controlling the right side right now. Did get a little bit of a trade down there. Not sure if that was an elimination sound that I heard going down, but it might have been a shield break. It's all good. Zypher gets a 50 off. And both his teammates lock it down. Nico right now has almost farmed out everything. These guys will be low on mats if this keeps going on. There are no more wall ceilings or floors to really farm unless they start to extend out. That is where Nosh can really find a way in.
Yeah, but Nico, Pandish, and Haji have actually been farming, while on the other side, no farming going on, and all the ammo is spent. Nosh has basically a couple shotgun bullets and barely any AR at all. Now the zone comes.
Oh, no.
Boogie bomb in. It's only on Nico, though. Pandish will be able to protect. He's out of there. They're still chasing, but he might have put himself in a very difficult spot. Finally inside, Haji gets taken out. He'll be able to bring him back, but this fight is all broken down. Now, has to maybe shockwave up. Nosh on the other side has to break this wall, and he won't. He won't have the time. Has to hold on front side. Nico, 1 versus 3. 1 versus 2, maybe? Nosh in the box, and he'll close it out. So there you go. They did it. They succeeded. Operation Grief.
They have some insurance too. Floppers that were fished, at least 4, I think, so we'll be able to make it out of Storm. Still, everything was looking organized, and through that organization, Nico was surviving. As soon as chaos broke down and ensued, that is where Zypa found the openings.
A different approach for the Godfathers. They're quickly trying to come straight through, white lining it, instead of going all the way out to the side and ending up on the south side of this zone. A similar one, although last time it did cover Doom's Domain in the first one, so maybe that was a weird spot for them to be in. But look at the split. Polarized Kaz and Kearney could really force these guys into such a weird spot. Where can they base? They have no say on entering into Salty Springs at all, so it is going to have to stay with the same rotate. They're going to have to make their way around and ended up going in towards Weeping Woods. The victors this time, Aspect, Zunies, and NPen. They win against Acorn, Jack, and Qua.
A new piece in the endgame. It'll change up the way the map kind of is laid out, which trios on what layer. The flavor, really, of game number 2. Except D-Roller and Posick, too. These guys, I believe, were in the bottom side of the leaderboards on the last page. Also very much alive. Six shockwaves for these guys, so their endgame rotates will be covered, but past that, to get there to be structured, you need to be dealing damage. Putting your shot down on the map and staying ahead of Search.
Love to see where... Oh, there they are, right in the back there. I was just about to ask about Goose Strobe and Statsy. No, sorry, that's not even them. Where would they be? They're in second place right now with the way that they played in game number 1. How does that unfold? This is a team that we actually saw really start off in squads. Prominence there means prominence for sure in trios. Similar maps, similar play style overall, but obviously with the addition of mobility, it does change things. They did decent, at least one half of that squad did decent in duos, so we'll have to see. Right now, so far, so good.
This is the third place perspective we're looking at right now.
And for that team, at least for one of them, Coop. All eyes are on him as we go into the season. And we understand how, you know, big solo players, big solo performers have influence in the actual large team modes. Can Coop, who's won back-to-back solo tournaments and started to claim a spot at the top of the best NAE solo players, how does he actually perform and carry that over into team modes? Because did not qualify for grand finals in duos. Same story kind of in squads a little bit. A player who's on the rise, but where does he go from there? Third place right now in this, and with a pretty decent trio. Same thing with Skittles as well. Tabs G has kind of been all over the place, but I think for most people, it's really the question on Coop in that trio.
Really interesting dynamic between those players, especially when it comes to winning and success. Will fuel them up really hard. But very good question as to how does it look when you're playing with, I would just say, 2 solo players and someone who's really good at supporting the trio. Who really has that IGL role, we'll see. If we get a comms breakdown or tune into one of their streams regardless. Around the map, here's another update for the Godfathers.
Issues for these guys. They did just get some tags, but they were already below Surge in second when they should have had already some tags in my mind. They ended up getting a really nice position over Kaz, Polarize, and Kerndau because they went a little deeper into zone. As Kaz and them, they stayed where they were in that first position. It will be a shockwave out, more tags in. And what looked like a curse to start things off has now all of a sudden become a blessing for them. The team in Salty Springs who looked to hold, now giving them all sorts of tags. From 57 below, as we saw seconds ago, now all the way up to 127 in mere seconds. A fight on the outside of zone unknown is so good in these positions, but can he capitalize? It's on Coop. It's on Skittles, the team we were just talking about, and they are below Surge.
These box fights have to break down. Coop finally gets alive, but blocked off by a cone from unknown. 0 elimination so far, just one little tag from a pump that made it look like an AR shot. 37 damage will not really be that much. It will trickle down as this Storm Surge gets closer and closer to popping in the second zone. Yeah.
Just those little tags have huge influence. He's now above, or I think when I said it, he was actually above. Even though I speak French, I'm not that quick on my toes. Odessu is above. Zexor will continue. Couple of tags. We can see it up in the top right. 27 above, that will not cut it, and that's why they're really fighting for it. Now 9 below, and they have to dive in. Here we go. This is a full box fight that will probably go to completion because they have to still move. Skittles trying to bounce out. Is he left by himself? No, here's a shockwave in. No, Zexor, where are you going? Where are you going? Right back into it, 18 onto Kaz, but he's left his teammates for a little while, and Unknown is down because of it.
Split up the entire trio. Yes, maybe opened up one wall, but closed the doors, I think, for the chances these guys have in game number 2. 23 damage above. We know it's not enough. It's going to trickle down in just a few seconds. Charges are waiting too for Chaotic. It's a snake pit down below, basically. Goofed up with Unknown, but they're on a clock. Time is not on their side in it, too. Getting picked down again. 4 damage total, trading back for a little bit more, but they've been pushed so far away. Separated, segmented, now getting beamed down. The pump will not be enough to quiet the aggression, the oppression from these enemies. Chaotic is really getting dwindled down here. Has to move. Almost took some fall damage. It's all good, but I feel like now they might be on the hunt. Coop did get tagged down after as well, but
I like it. Zone will start moving in a second, so what they want to do is impact them to move away from them, but with this time also means that they might end up sticking around. They've lost all their mobility, and they're starting to come down in terms of materials too, so how do they build in when there's so many? Cloud, Fernando, and crew, they fought off spawn, and they're having struggles with Storm Surge, but Fernando goes down, and they all of a sudden are right back on top of it. Zexor will look towards Assault. They're getting tagged again. 7 damage below. No heals. Chaotic is now going to be down and out. No res available for that, and Zexor will also... Ooh, Surge actually ends with 31 HP. Zexor has a hope, a dream. Even more tags, but shooting on the outside might actually clue in the rest of the lobby into his position. Thankfully, he's gotten some materials because of his teammate falling. So he might be able to outbuild. I don't see a lot of teams on the side of this mountain. So he doesn't actually have to worry too much at all.
When you're saying a dream, a hope, I just feel like Zexor is living in a nightmare right now. After that entire exchange and the fact that this position for him is just really bad in the tournament overall. That too, he's now a bad omen for anyone else. I can safely say that he's not going to be a factor in this end game. He's going to be able to grief maybe one trio in maybe just a few seconds.
I like that. He's definitely a bad omen. Although Calc will control the omens of Zexor, will control the fate. It seems like always, apparently. At least if you listen to Calc's Twitter feed. speaking of calc, 55 damage below for that trio, but they are fully engaged. Last time it was only Clicks in this position, and he was the bad omen in the last game. Below Surge and diving onto a box. And they did not want to receive Cease. A great position for him. With Illust and Scope, they weren't able to capitalize on it last time, but this time, things are looking very good. Look how many teams are in here. They've controlled this the entire game. They forced teams to stay below on the central ravine, and they have almost full control with another trio.
The control's not enough right now. They're 67 damage below, so a good position, but they're not really cracking the shell of any trio's box. They're not getting any damage down, really. Scoped is opting to go for sniper shots still, which I don't think is a good idea when you're below Surge. You want the guarantee. Look, that could have been an easy AR tag to push these guys above. Still, they've gotten no tags. The risk is not paying off, therefore there is no reward. They're still keeping it online with a sniper. I don't think this is a good choice.
A big team below Surge again. They barely got over last time, which was Chap, Jamper, and Stretch. This game, Strap. This time Strap is down. And look who's also down below. The Godfathers, Stretch, Saf, and Zayt. 30 below. 0 elims for them. Compare them to somebody like Bucky, Granada, and Creo, who are all up, and they've got 3 elims. They're definitely going to be above, so something wrong with how Stretch, Saf, and Zayt are playing this out, or maybe just other teams being slightly more aggressive. Maybe they're trying to ride the edge in towards the end game.
Including the Godfathers, every trio you basically see on the right side who are below Surge will not really have their own game plan to follow going into this end game. They'll have to play moment to moment, basically be living check to check, tag to tag. Animal Bully Degen are doing the same thing. They do not want to be in this position, but it's the closest place they can get damage dealt down.
And they've run directly into the line of fire of the Godfathers, and Nosh and Paper are on the side of this too. The Godfather, they were shooting those gauntlets down. Here goes Animal into the box with a crash pad, and it will actually be all chaos, and they get instantly wiped. A gift to Nosh, Paper, and Crew. They've given it to them. They look completely shambles. Actually, it's Saf who cleans that up. So finally, they're on the board. Meanwhile, XSET was already on the board with 2 elims of their own and 381 damage above. And they're going to impact Statsy, Goosh, and Strobe too. Here's Saf. They're getting back below Surge. 28 HP for Saf. He has to take a mini. There it goes. The Siphon, thank goodness. Zayt is down, though. And will they actually outlast? Yes, Surge done. A sigh of relief for them. No reboots this time. They're going to heal in and hopefully be able to take something from that. Sypha stole the mystical bomb from Zayt in that entire engagement, and I'm not even sure if Stretch has anything too. What he does have is Groot's, whatever the heck it's called. But he'll make the rotate easily.
He's got the roly-poly-oly on. Have the opportunity to get some health. That's the name, definitely. But it's just, it's crazy to see that all these guys who've been so organized historically, even with Surge, has been in the game for a long time, specifically having trouble today. It is kind of irregular for these guys too, the Godfather trio. They're used to having damage done in that fight at Doom's Domain every single game. Being uncontested just means, yes, they get to survive, but how will they find their tags if there's not many people rotating from the north side? Up top right now is Vivid, Lazar, and Sizz, sitting in the most comfortable spot. Last game, a lot of trouble with Surge. This game, the kings of the land.
Look, in the bottom right, XSET against Built by Solo Mid. They're so close together, box to box, and Zone, if you look at how they're playing, is actually going to go against Vivid, Sizlucky, and Lazar. A max distance pull, which means they're going to do a shockwave play to get over in towards the rest. Big thing, as we see all the teams down below Surge, Chap and Crew down below, Bucky, Creo, and Kanata are there, so they're box fighting again. That's why they fell last time. I believe, to Surge in this exact position. What I was going to say, though, no impact for Doom's Gauntlet right now. Stretch on low ground. What is he going to do? You can basically count it entirely out, which gives Vivid and crew actually a chance to hold on, because I don't think anybody's going to challenge.
Stretch is set up too. He just has a scope they are. He can't really follow up with much. There it is. If there was an SMG there, it could have been a lot of damage for him to really capitalize on that pump shot. But it's just this one big boomstick that he has. It's not that big either. Goosh actually goes down. This would be an amazing moment to get something done. 128 in the box to Nosh's face. Maybe he doesn't need another gun. Oh my god, Stretch.
Dude, and the same thing happened for Saf. Saf is now on 4. He also took out 1. They're completely split, but still playing this brilliantly now on the backside of zone, though he's going to have to shockwave out of this. Too much pressure for him. No, he holds on. Zyph is still on the other side of this box. They've engaged before, but he's hanging right on. Who's on hide? It's Kanata. They've taken it from Vivid and crew. Maybe a couple of shockwaves, and now full control for them, and this is what you expect to see from at least the trio who did so well in prior trios tournaments, up on height and potentially going to win the game.
The Shambles duo is down on the left side. We'll tune into them in just a second. In the mid ground, Vix is down as AJ and Rox are looking for a chance to just outlast Surge. They're having some trouble. There's just 5 people that need to go down, possibly 2 trios in total, or just the legs of a few. They're still getting ticked. No more shield left. The bandage cannon is out of charges. They need to be looking for edits and shots. That is possible. The last tick, though, the last few seconds, can the bandage cannon come alive in just the last second? It does, and the punch shot's there too. AJ with the big clutch.
Huge for them, but huge for Bucky, Creo, Kanata, who still hang on. Saf has finally fallen, I believe. We still have Stretch somewhere inside of this game. Chap has made it all the way here, even though they were struggling against Surge. And now on the front side, he's getting there. Xset still fully up.
The only 2 trios right now that are fully alive are Bucky, Creo, Kanata, and the Xset trio. Height and low ground in complete control. It's a messy sandwich in the middle. These guys are trying to just collapse everyone to go down a few layers. There are the 2 trios finally trading shots. Kanata's all the way up in the sky. AJ has found possibly Doom's gauntlets. They're somehow playing box to box and surviving another bump shot. They both individually land. Their bullets get to eliminations. AJ with the clutch bandage cannon again just survives. And he trades his bandage cannon out for another. That's almost at full HP. This item has kept this trio alive in one of the worst situations I've seen them ever been in.
And finally, there's actually Xset losing a couple members. I believe Shark now down. Anybody else still alive? No, I think the entire trio now down. Look how high Kanata is. Meanwhile, Bucky and Creo are down below, box fighting like they do best, and it's against Clicks, who they've definitely had engagements with time and time again, and they knock him out of zone and out of the game. Now AJ and Rox, the last of the 2 trios remaining. Calc down below too, so Clicks was still engaged in that. Creo and crew, though, will still engage down below on them and take their time. Although they get fully knocked out, this could go shambles very fast, but no, Creo holds on.
AJ almost had the 3rd pump to really secure that game, but it's not possible. And it's Bucky, Creo, and Kanata. 15 total eliminations to wrap out that game. Control of height the entire time during that end game. That was really impressive.
Yeah, that was, and they quickly took control of a situation that pretty much everybody had the opportunity to do, at least if you had a little bit of mobility for it. They ended up being very, very low on Surge, but did not care as they played for height regardless, and because of that, they get right back on top of it. Vivids is lucky, and Lazar P, unfortunately, with a max distance 6 zone pull, ended up giving it up very fast, didn't hold on at all, and all of a sudden we look up, and it's Creo and crew like we're used to seeing. So a bigger game than what they had, or what Xset even had, but Xset did last at least in towards at least the top 10, but it's so hard because from basically top 17, it all of a sudden is down to top 5 in basically 2 quick endgame zones.
Yeah, and the standard story you were pointing out there with the Xset trio and then Bucky and Kanata, these guys got to survive and play the trio game. I feel like the other story in this game were the battle of the duos, really. Saf and Stretch got to survive, play individualistic, and then AJ, his partner as well, were also playing box to box, really looking for shots all around, and survived for a long time, almost throughout towards the end of the game.
And what a breath of fresh air, too. Without Zayt, Saf, and Stretch up there with without the mystical gauntlets at all, doing anything on high ground. It was kind of a different flavor. We got to see the fight for height actually unfold. But regardless, let's take a look at the leaderboards after game 2. Let's take a look at how high Creo and crew were able to push over. It's only by 2 points because of the poor performance in game number 1, but they do take the lead.
Yeah, XS Trio's right behind them, just 2 points shy. So we'll see what happens in the next game, but more results of this game. Zypha, Nosh, Paper, completely worth on that fight that they took early on in the castle, not only pushing out their opponents, but really pushing down everyone else, staying there in top 5.
Yeah, what a weird way to play the game, but hey, early stages, you got to do what you got to do to really contest at your drop spot and condition the other teams. They pushed an entire team out all the way to castle, but because they want not only sweaty sands to themselves, but also potentially skirt themselves out towards that castle and remind the impact for you guys who we're not really sure of how these start planes, the twin jets that are landing all around the maps are going to play out. At castle, there is one very close by, so if they can get sweaty and also that, then potentially they can go for those mythic extra items, the Silver Surfer board and Groot's Ball. So very important for them. Regardless, they continue to push up the leaderboard, and the fight that they had on the side of zone was Saf and Stretch.
Yeah, Zayt, Saf, and Stretch did have a little bit of trouble, but past that on the second side, they were all the way there in last place off of this game now bumping up to 16th. 5 total eliminations in that game and got to survive just because of Saf and Stretch's dominant dual performance on that dead side low ground. They're bumped up, but past them, the guys who had height had a chance to really take that game by storm. Sizz, Vivid, and Lazar will be in 13th, not really moving too far up and down on that leaderboard. Another big bounce back, though, with Calc, Clicks, and Macwood, who I think ended up coming second or third that game, now in 10th place.
Yeah, they had some very difficult situations in game number 1 coming out of Doom's Domain. Other teams, Xtra Unknown Chaotic, same situation for them. We saw the fight that they took, which was their instinct there to fight on the side of zone. I forget against who, but regardless, they end up paying dearly because of Zexro's mistake to shockwave out and over the hill, if you remember that. So unfortunately, they fall to Surge after that engagement that they had. Other teams, Edgy, Commandment, and Scented in 21st.
Yeah, this page is basically the page that has the results of everyone who's been fighting off spawn. Jackwa, Acorn off at Authority. Yes, sometimes they have success, 7 eliminations in total. Because you're missing out on every other game, you will not be able to see the top 10. Same story there for Assault, Dax, or Agers. I thought they did very well last game, but it was just off spawn. In that first game, they were not present at all, and as a result, 24th place.
Same thing for them at Coral Castle. We saw it. Let's move on to the next page and wrap up the leaderboards as they stand. Eclipse Class, who ended up falling in that first game after having a very solid position, continued to fall, continued to struggle. Same thing with Ronaldo, Riversun, and Blake. Kaz, Kearney, and Polarize, who we saw potentially have big impact, end up falling off too. Fernando, Icy, and Cloud win retail this time, but not much more as they fall to Surge. I believe that is maybe the final trio in this one. So with all that said and done, there's still a lot to play for. 4 games. Okay, there it is. Still one lonely team here at the bottom, and it's Pandush, Nico, and Haji, who we've kind of already talked about with Paper, Nosh, and crew pushing in on them at Castle. Average placement of 29.5 out of 33. That's the maximum that could go. The higher, the worse. So unfortunately for them, 0 points still. We'll see if that changes. And maybe if they change their drop continuously. We got 4 more games in this War Legend Invitational. And with that, we are going to take a break. When we come back, we've got game number 3 after this. Welcome back to the War Legends Invitational. It's NA East this time, not EU, but we're hopping into game number 3. Just like I said, quick break. We're back into the action. I'm BallTW, joined by Shio. We're casting these games. I think the game has launched, so we'll hop in as fast as we can. But basically, all I want to ask you, Shio, first impressions after 2 games of the top trios in NA East.
Top trios, first impressions, struggle City Central, in my opinion. I feel like every single season I've watched, people have had complete domination and control beginning to end game. But right now, for some reason in trios, even though there's top trios that are winning, they're getting there in shambles sometimes.
Is that a sign of weakness or is it a sign of actual strength? I don't know. For some, obviously the story is different for everybody, but in some cases, teams like what I think Zypha, Nosh, and crew did in Sweaty Sands, that's a sign of strength, even though it might look shambles. But compare that to Zayt, and Stretch.
Yeah, for them, I think it's complete, not complete weakness in total, but lack of adaptation. Because these guys are coming in on the strongest POI, uncontested, moving across the map. Everyone's already based up, though, playing that Storm Surge tag meta, right? So it's very difficult for these guys to be able to really push, get into positions, and get damage down. As a result, they're struggling, not really having control of the lobby towards these endgames.
Yeah. We will hop into game number 3. Let's get it started so we can take a look at if things are going to change. I'm still wondering if that team of Dubs, Mega, and Bizzle are going to make it in. I didn't see them in that game either, but that could be a reason for this difficulty that Zayt, Saf, and Stretch are having at Doom's Domain. They're so used to fighting off the spawn, they don't really have a plan when things are uncontested. So Zayt, the IGL, has got to figure something out and quickly. Well, maybe not so quickly because we still have so much time to play over the season.
Yeah, more teams to actually go over. We're watching Bucky Kanata right now. Game 1 didn't look the hottest completely. Had some trouble, had some struggles, but game 2 they did show up. Other big names too, Coop, Skittles, and Tabs. So I feel like operate very well off of a game plan. But when you have an unknown knocking at your door, knocking on your boxes, it's actually impossible to really get anything going or get anything done. You're kind of stuck in the middle of the street. Don't get to actually follow your plan through the whole way. Because you are forced into these fights, these Storm Surge fights, even if you feel like your base is really good, as I think they had a really nice one. Past that, it's like Riverson, we're saying going down in the feed. These big names too, who historically, maybe on other servers, or maybe on the servers of their own, have been winners. Ronaldo's a part of that trio, part of that squad, ended up winning squads up in CS. These guys are still landing Coral Castle for some reason, want control of this POI, which I think is more of a central rotating hub than somewhere you're supposed to land. Over here, too, Aspect and Penzunis fighting over Authority. Still can't say who is the best trio out of here because it's been back and forth.
Oh my goodness. We missed it, but up in the top right is actually Typhoon clutching up against Blake, Riverson, and Ronaldo in a 1v2 situation. Just the SMG spray to clean that up. Now we get to watch this fight unfold again at the Authority. Aspect, Enpen, and Zunis lost the first one against Acorn, Jack, and Qua. This time, or second game, it went in the other direction, so now's the big equalizer.
2 big fights going on right now. The Authority one we're watching, but there's a 2v2 finally now at Retail Row. The same fight we saw before. This one might be slightly longer to actually get delving down into. Here's the update on the X-Set trio, who is possibly contested.
Yeah, it looks like Cardenas' Stowe and Not Panda have moved in towards the Fortilla. At least one player there. They've had to give it up, and now they look to be in the same mode we saw Nosh and crew in last time. They're trying to find shots, trying to get a little bit of tags on the team who's encroached into their space, potentially going to fully engage with not much loot at all. Still some chunk spots available to get back up there. Aspect with the shockwave up to high up in the top left, and he will contest it, but not that many mats. So he's not going to be able to take all the way up. He's going to go from the back side of this, but there's a team up on the other side, third partying from the big hill. And that will be Aspect's cue to go right back down and try to refarm.
So many things you have to really keep tabs on, really keep control over. Even in a fight where you think that you have the upper side advantage, you're fighting at Authority, the central portion of the map. That's where most of the teams have eyes on. Aspect forced inside is actually a blessing, though, as he's right beside Enpen. These guys have to fortify and base up their boxes. Not many heals left, though, for either team. Zuni's is slowly moving up right now.
This is what won them the fight last time. Zuni's with a legendary pump. He was playing solo on the stairs, and he ended up getting the first pick, and Aspect was able to capitalize hugely from that. Basically, we ended up switching off, and instantly that happened. Meanwhile, Not Panda and crew, they're even more shambles, but they've got a gold pump of their own. AV Shark and Knight, X set has taken height, and they're spraying down. There's no heals whatsoever. And Not Panda down. Oh, Not Panda, last player remaining, is going to be able to get the Siphon. Yes, the mats that he needs to actually build out. Shark is now down, fully eliminated. And there's a bandage. He's taking height. This is one of the other. No, that's COD Genesis down. They might be able to get the Siphon on that too. Some trades. Almost no builds. Yes, no builds. There's AV, another big tag. He's moving so well through these builds. One door. And almost gets another one, but that wall was not his, so he has to quickly back away. Meanwhile, that other fight's still going on. Now Panda sneaking around. I don't think they know. AV, you got to be so careful. So careful.
He's 50 HP. Even if he lands a good shot, it'll have to be a big finish too afterwards. Ooh, gets the damage down, but now he's even. This peak is going to be dangerous. Maybe he has to stop to pop these bandages, but they make too much noise on the side of his wall. It's his. It's his. He lands the shot. No, it misses actually. A guarantee. Oh, trades with AV, but the low HP makes it so that Panda will not be able to see the end portion of his game. Paper, Nosh, and Zypha are still fighting Pandush, Haji, and Nico. This time, not at the castle. It's not royal at all. It's dirty. It's street fights, basically, for these guys. And they're getting tagged, too, from other teams.
Yeah. Has to be Knifer and crew from the north side. Haji and crew are struggling in this fight. Down below again, farming. Same situation as last time. Low ammo for Paper and crew. They're going to crash back in. Yes, they do 80, but there's a Baz on the other side. Pandush will get the first blood. Zypha is in the fight against Nico too. They're trying to get it, and it is a double. Zypha down, Nosh soon to follow, and the 1 versus 3. 1 HP gets the Siphon. Pandush at least down, but that's the end of that game. So this time, the engagement that they've been taking over and over ends up falling. Meanwhile, another engagement goes 2-1 in favor of Aspect and crew as they push through with the 3 eliminations out of the authority. But what more can you get when you're fighting off spawn in a spot that really doesn't have that much loot anymore? This vault completely empty, a shell of its former self.
What more can you get? I'm asking what more can you do now for the next game? Do these guys keep contesting and try to fight? Because I know we're watching this at this War Legend Invitational on broadcast for the first time, but this story has been going on the entire week. These guys have still been fighting time after time, and it's going even for the teams. That's what he's saying, is for the teams at authority. There's not many other places to move. There's not much else to do. Nice shot there from D-Roller onto Iceium, actually. So these guys moved out of Retail Row, ended up winning the fight, actually, against Casper Smack and Keys. And now there's big shots being traded from both ways. Postic with a huge one. Making sure he gets that headshot just so these guys have some damage for Surge, too. Iceium is traded out. Now it's just Fernando, who is... Nah, he was getting some food, 100%. Disrespectful from there from Accept. I'm not going to allow that. Let a man eat.
Come on, bro. Another storm fight. Simon Coral Castle sought Dexter in ages. They made quick work of the last time. And this should be on the team that eliminated Riverside and crew earlier on. They have bandages to split, so plenty of time. It's Legedian down below doing the same sort of thing. The bandage dance, wrap it around your wrist. And hope to hit some flicks. Here's a shockwave. They're all going to go in. Yes, this is a Mito Classic with the full team. It's going to almost work, but they're a little too high. So he has to stay on the backside. And then a shockwave to go in. This time it misses again. Almost gets the wall. Nothing left. He's actually on the backside. Assault is lost in the sauce. Tried to get with his team. Thankfully, it all works out in the end. As Pagers and Daxter will clean up the way that they started everything. That's 3 games in a row for them where they win off of spawn, but not much more for them. Another look at Zayt, Saf, and Stretch. This time over towards Sweaty Sands. This time based up early. In first zone. And wide too. Look at Saf's position. Away from Zayt. And he will be able to maybe find some tags deep onto Snake, and Cruz is lucky directly under them too.
Do both these things mean much though? Because this is good practice for getting Doom's Domain uncontested. When will that actually happen? You know what I mean? Like if this is a grand finals or an open qualifier format, there will always be contestation there in opens and semis. In grand finals, I can expect Bizzle to make it too, because he doesn't really miss at all when there's team modes and qualifications. What type of practice is this? The same story there for Authority, for Fortilla and Coral Castle, Sweaty Sands. These guys aren't moving off. Does winning actually mean much at all? Who's going to actually shake down first? I don't think it's ever been this sticky in a season before. People usually move. The only thing I can remember is Frenzy Farms with Trap Squad and Arab Squad, where no one really moved over. The conversation went into grand finals. I know no player enjoys waiting. I'm serious though. Like, what was another instance?
I know, but we're only 2 weeks in. Things will change. I mean, trios will fully change, and I think that will to ending the stickiness that you're kind of talking to. I mean, you'll see teams move. That's for sure. I think in NA East we have big egos, but I think just in general we've seen it. Mitro and crew and EU staying at Sharks, staying at Sweaty Sand time and time again. I don't think we've seen teams lose as much as we are and be so aggressive, but I think everybody kind of is figuring it out in FNCS. You need to condition your drop spot, and everybody understands how to do that now. Previously, it was basically only Zayt and Saf who kind of understood that during the World Cup days. Now everybody knows. Everybody's in this mentality of, I will grief you for the spot for the entire season. And because of that, you end up having a little bit more egos involved in it, because it's like, okay, well, you're trying this. I'm not leaving. We're going to grief each other this season type of mentality. So, yes.
I mean, the follow-up on that, like, I understand it from a Doom's Domain perspective. Is there something I'm not seeing at Coral Castle? Is there, like, a secret chest? Are there more elimination or placement points awarded there? Like, why are we fighting over this POI?
Block. I think that's what they're hoping for. The block just gets put right down on the new POI. Hey, that's what happened last time, right?
That's true.
Same thing at Authority. I think a lot of people are expecting that there is going to be something crazy happen at the Authority again.
Okay, I can see that though, because these are power points of the map, right? It's the top left side, it's the center, it's the bottom left that these guys are fighting over. If we go just historically with Fortnite, POIs get added here and there, and they usually take over existing ones. So, thinking ahead, important, very true.
By the way, guys, thank you so much to War Legend for putting this on. A broadcasted tournament for us to watch and really figure out what the story is in NA East and how everything is unfolding. Also, the first time we really get to see their tools in use here on NA East, if you're not used to the Surge leaderboard and other things like that. It's all due to the great developers of War Legend. And then also, if you're new to watching NA East and expecting War Legend to be a French stream, there is a French stream available on twitch.tv/MCES. And then also a Spanish cast by Suja GG on Twitch as well. SUJAGG for all you Spanish speakers.
One thing is clear, no matter what language you speak, this is going to be a very, very interesting season. And I feel like by FNCS, there will still be beef amongst trios and fights all around the map.
Yeah, but who's going to be the shark griefers of the season? Where is the grotto going to be? Where is the farm going to be? Which POI is it? I mean, so far we're not really seeing much besides Doom's Domain. I don't think any POI is that important, and we're seeing it. Only 29 above for that team. That's why they're spamming through basically fully built brick onto Commandment. Scented and edgy right now. This team's struggling with the way that they're positioned, always getting up and getting fired upon. It's scoped Illicent Cease on the backside. This surge can be very, very short. Only basically two teams might fall to it. Animal, Deech and Bully go under. And it is over, thankfully, as Strep takes out Thatch.
Edgy Commandment sent to this trio. High hopes for, I feel like, for everyone in terms of predictions, just because of the names. But from what I've been seeing so far, just today, these guys are really struggling to get ahead of the pack, where they're comfortable, where we expect them to really be. I'm not sure what the reasoning of that is. I'm pretty sure they're landing somewhere south side, possibly Misty Meadows. Know the drop spot of this trio, though. Dub the Godfathers. If you guys do have any creative names, by the way, for any other trios, please help us out. Let us know. But I like this one, really.
I like it too. It's fitting. Very fitting. In fact, I didn't even know when you pitched this idea of the Godfathers for this team. I didn't even know that Zayt changed his name to the Godfather. Did you know that, or was that off the dome?
Yeah. That was the inspiration, really. I just thought, like,
okay.
I don't like the word veteran that much. I feel like we overuse it, and this man just changed his name to what he is. Literally the Godfather.
Is this a full Timbers team? Yes. I think so.
Possibly. I'm not sure if Jelty is. You want to say the full? Yeah. Jelty might be unsigned or signed. I'm not sure. They had a little bit of roster change. But we could call it that. There's one member at least. Yeah.
Ooh, Big Elim sent it onto Goosh. Sent it as EMAT is. You know what? Let's leave this. Whatever, man. Sent it is sent it. I will ignore his name, even though his name might be fully true. What is... Avery's just vibing. He's really reliving... I guess not really reliving. All these guys are, what, 7 years old? So just staying in the bouncy castle as always.
Hey, they throw tantrums like it when it comes to in-game box fights, not gonna lie. Sometimes on the timeline, too. Sometimes. Okay, Bucky Creo Kanata, 54. Oh my god. You gotta prepare me when you do that, Bortz. You can't just drop the entire leaderboard on me like that in terms of who's lower. So many top names right now. Ace Glace Narwhal, I believe they're top 5, maybe 3rd place in total off of that last game. Yes. Way underneath 140 damage. Bucky Creo Kanata are rising up, but once again, Vivid, Sizz, and Lazar do not have enough damage dealt.
I don't know what's better, being way above like Xset is always. I mean, obviously I would like that, but obviously that takes a lot to get to that position, and you sacrifice stuff that other teams are not, right? Or if riding the edge is better. If staying right on the edge and just barely being above, if that's kind of better in a sense for consistency, I think it is. Because consistency-wise, if you're always 1,000 damage above, that means you're taking risks entirely.
I would say the example of being all the way above is more so what Zypha was doing. Because Xset is an outlier, they're very unique. It seems like they're taking these big risks that put them behind, but you have to understand they're somehow consistently way ahead and have 3 members survive every single game. So I can't really use them as an example.
Yeah, I don't think you use them as an example at all.
Okay,
minus 49 all of a sudden when the notifications went off. That rotation basically costed them a lot. Now 10 above, all of a sudden, back down to minus 50. This leaderboard is, I don't want to call it a leaderboard. This, what's another way to put it? Because it's not a leaderboard. I mean, I guess it is, but that's confusing.
Real checker, let's actually talk about this. Ticker, Storm Surge ticker.
The status.
Chat, help us out.
Hey man, it's practice for us, right? It might be practice for the players, but it's practice for us too. We gotta figure this out. 10 damage above. Hopefully we get to actually cast over a Surge leaderboard like this again. Board, there you go. How about just board? Well, shout outs to not saying your name.
If you asking chat, it was a double-edged sword. Storm Surge board, I like it. Surge standings. No? Okay, you're nodding your head. No. That's all good. Xset's trio. Oh no! Do get ahead, but at a cost, not really ahead at all. 5 HP for Shark. He needs to just land one shot if that's possible. Taken out. Oh my goodness.
It's revenge for the Godfathers. You might have got me in game number 1, but when it comes to game number 3, it will be the gauntlets of doom over top of your head. X set out to the hands of the Mafia.
They're going to have to remember that one. I feel like we're seeing a new story. From north all the way to south, these guys don't even land near each other at all. More results for Surge 2. Ace Glace Narwhal, the first game really, I think that they're very far behind Super Shambles. Unfortunate for them. We'll see if they're going to be able to move forward as... Actually, what am I saying? They're not going to be able to. It's just a solo. Mac was trying. It's not possible. The big thing for this trio is that every single game has been one different member who's not alive to really help them out towards that end game. Going down early. It's been Clicks usually. Mac with that last game. This time all three in control. This is what I've really been waiting for. Seeing the Godfathers. Yeah. I'm just waiting for that bomb to drop and look at exactly how it's going. Very nice actual decision from Zayt.
I like this.
To drop the mystical bomb and then rotate right on top of it. So there's no way the person down below has to say on beams, grief,
that's like a
or position.
It's like an RPG in prior seasons, right? Launch that before you go.
Yeah.
Just give the team down below a little bit to worry about. And now he's grabbed position where it says lucky Lazar and Vivid ended up failing in game number 2. We do have them on height, and it's going to be a fight, I think, against Calc, Macwood, and Clicks. There is a big
Wait a minute.
couple of bounce or shockwaves across the zone. They do get way close ahead, but who still holds on? It's Stretch, Staff, and Zayt. They maintain. They're above Surge. Bucky, Granada, and Creo too, but they're not contesting at all. They're so high right now.
Stretch is the highest. He has the gauntlets. He's basically going to act like the hands of God, raining down damage. Speaking of God aim, Zayt with amazing tracking, taking down a Liege. Now you can really yell timber, literally, as someone falls down from the sky. Both these guys will now, like a duo, take control while Stretch just rains down for them. It's like a passive buff. They will never really see Stretch or his POV ever again, and just take the server by storm. Clicks, I think, no, not taking damage by Surge. It was one of the gauntlet damages that went all the way down.
Yeah, and they've split it so that 2 members could be throwing down the bomb and also just the gauntlets constantly. Here's going to be another shockwave play. They go through a mid-ground layer for Clicks. You able to find this? Yes. Saf takes out Unknown 2. Still 6 people need to go down for Surge as it now activates. Click outside his zone. He will bounce forward. I like the play. Very innovative. Going out to make a storm rotate, and he does it, but he ends up paying the cost. Calc is down on the shockwave rotation. Creel's still up. And there's so much chaos because of what they're impacting now. Clicks gets back into the fight. They're actually going to go forward on top. Macwood leading Clicks right now.
No one can breathe. Stretch is making so that anyone that's even remotely high is the person getting targeted. Zay's getting that update on his little newsfeed, switching straight over on the sightline for that beam. Stretch is still raining down hard. Everyone is basically squished box to box. Logan is the safest place to be, but at the same time, it's Macwood who's down there with Clicks. They found each other again. They don't have materials though. They have to work without edits. Boogie bombs. Clicks knows that's to close that edit. It was one of the only sightlines that he had previously. Now they have to move forward. Metal walls all around. It's going to be very difficult for these guys to really edit or break through.
And look at the control they have. Multiple layers up on height. Maybe 10 layers above the mid-ground. And stretches all the way up, basically playing the exact same way we saw X set when they ended up taking out and winning the mythical items. Here, the same thing all the way up, a ramp to the heavens. And Stretch is literally a god raining down fire, thunder from above, and Clicks in a box. Again, they're getting held out. Gotta get the Elim. So low, 2 HP. Yes, he makes it in, but not for long. And there's still the fire. And
oh my god.
Fire and thunder.
Max 1 HP.
Goodness.
I don't think it's possible for him to survive that much longer at all. There it is. He's taken out. 7 trios now left. But they're hemorrhaged down on low ground. Everyone was just forced to fight. Multiple members from different trios have been taken out. silence right now? Is Stretch giving these guys just a chance to breathe, maybe fight each other? Hit their boxes before he starts again, or was there trouble on height? Who knows? It's Rox's box, and he's surrounded by multiple different angles and trios. Vix, too, is playing that heal game. Actually, not his teammate. He's followed by someone else. Vix, somehow surviving. This is good for him. 2 trios have gone down. Haz is active still. Scented, Edgy, taken out. Avery is there with Haz controlling. Oh, Avery getting the finishes. The two-piece commandment still alive. The last hope. The gods have now struck down to earth. They're getting close and personal. Stretch is having his gun out possibly here. No. He's still raining these down. Haz goes for height. The reversal. It's a 3v3 now, 2v3. Stretch takes down Vix. It's just Haz who has a chance to survive. No, Avery gets knocked off the storm. Haz now left over, but it's Saint with the big bomb. Cracks it down. The bump shot. And the follow-up. All 3 survive. All 3 dominate game number 3.
Oh my goodness, that was so close for Haz, an opportunity. It was just Zayt left, but the bomb will burn the final bit of that zone. Haz has no space to move, and Zayt is right on top of him as his teammates fall. So they cling right next to each other and claim game number 3 after what looked like a series of really, really rough positions, but similar zones, and they fixed their mistakes.
They really did. I feel like getting that early base up and going for those tags just made them not only be above Storm Surge, but track people's rotations. Maybe see who has what items, who's going in what cars, materials, who's fighting and getting other tags. They meticulously just laid out blueprints for the entire game and then had a heist of points, placement, and ultimately that victory royale too at the very end of the game.
It's almost like they felt out the first couple of games and realized that the strategy they were going to for the dead side rotate to second so that you can end up getting those tags does not work out. And then they make it so that they're like, oh, this lobby is very aggressive in terms of surge. So we start early. Let's take a leaderboard look and figure out where they end up stopping, because for right now, it's still Creo, Bucky, and Kanata up there on top. They've extended the lead by 4 from 2. Now it's 6 points. Xset still in second. Really not any movement at all for those 2. But look who has all of a sudden risen so fast. In third place, Knife for Snake and Zlem with an average placement of 6.67, tying Creo, Bucky, and Kanata. They're up now to 172 points. Still a lot to do.
Yeah, these guys were in 6th place last game, so they're bumping up straight over. One thing for AV, Knight, and Shark, I feel like this is the lowest average placement I've seen them have over games. They were sitting at 8 or 7 throughout multiple days of practice, 40 games in total. And now just off of these 3 averaging 10th, might be a little bit of trouble there for these guys in Paradise. Past that, though, Narwhal, Ace, and Glace, these guys had their first kind of road bump, dropping down all the way to 8th average placement. Glace was up as a solo. Good off, though, on the Godfather trio, Haz, Furious, and Avery as well for staying alive, both in different fashions. Haz, Furious, and Avery dropped a lot of eliminations and really just wiped out all of low ground. I'm curious to see what their total eliminations were, but they're over here at 7th.
I can get you that in a second, but yeah, it's certainly from both Avery and Haz, not necessarily what you expect from Furious, as he fell earlier. They kind of clean up and do what needs to be done without him. Avery had what, like 3 elims back to back to back on that low ground?
Yeah.
That's some ridiculous things.
They were playing off of each other
on the leaderboard.
Yeah, they were just playing so excellently. It doesn't really fit in the sentence, but it's the best word I can come up with, because the synergy there between both these guys, landing a shot, other person gets the finish, one person covering as the other person takes more, was great. Past that, though, people have been doing that for the most of their games 1 and 2, where Coop, Skittles, and Tabs, who have fallen down from 2nd place now all the way to 9th, 11th average placement. Hopefully they bring it back up. Someone who's static here on the leaderboard, 10th place, Calc, Clicks, and Macwood, who had a good run last game. I thought it was amazing, but it wasn't enough to really change their spot overall in this tournament.
Yeah, and just to go back real quick, Coop, Skittles, and Tabs was the team that ended up fighting Zexro, that bad omen in game number 2. So that affects them. Hopefully they've actually improved since that, because obviously they didn't do too hot in that one. They only got 3 elims in this game. And back a little bit more even to Furious, Haz, and Avery. You asked for their elim totals. They had 10. 5 on Haz, 4 on Avery, 1 on Furious. So you could see the impact that they had on low ground, even though it definitely was a difficult situation. The back-to-back elims end up costing, or costing them really well. So good job from them. The rest of the leaderboards, Zexro, Unknown, Chaotic, 14.3 average placement. It's kind of different, right? That might look like a very, very good average placement if you think about solos, but for this, it's not the hottest, right? That's about middle of the pack. That's making it to maybe 5th zone, maybe 6th zone. But after that, that's when the big placements come in. So maybe just a few points per game and the rest coming in from elims.
Yeah, pass that on the next page too. There's some trios who aren't even hitting that first placement mark, which is 17. So 24, 25 numbers that you're used to seeing, which are good average, as Bala said, are actually abysmal in this sense. You're not gaining anything from the main portion of the game, which is placement, which is playing the zones. And I feel like it's just because of not even these random factors, but these power plays other players are making. Specifically here for the team in 17th place, the Timbers squad. Alish taken out mid-air by Zayt, something you can't really control too hard. You have to make that rotation. It's unfortunate, but it seems to be happening game after game for this entire side of the page.
Scope, Cease, and Illis have fallen a little bit from the top spots that they were holding after game number 1. Aspect, NPen, and Zunis, who finally made it 2 for 3 after Authority, but halfway now, and they're only in 22nd out of 33. Makes it a very tough climb all the way back up to the top. Salt, Daxter, and Ages, who have been winning at Coral Castle, same story over there, but struggling after that. And Shai, you've been asking the question, what are we missing here at Coral Castle?
I still do not know. I get that it's a place you can fight off quick. You can actually, I think, come down maybe positionally for Storm Surge the best way. I said the same way the Xset trio plays. It's very good for them. We can go on the next page here too just to get a final update as I wrap this point over. But when you play on one of these sides of the map, one of the 4 corners of the map, you have really good eyes on position on the dead side off of a really long rotate. And you're never really sandwiched by anyone else. I just feel like Coral Castle isn't that spot, though, to really fight over for 3 trios. Also on this page, these are some of the squads that are being contested. The most surprising one on this page for me is actually Eclipse Class and Hoofishy, who I feel like have been in very good positions, aren't completely contested off spawns and stuff, but might be losing out on fights, might not be capitalizing. C-Scoped and Illis, just to go back. It's crazy that I'm not sure if these are contested off spawn, but they have Lazy Lake possibly uncontested. Maybe they switched up their story, but these guys being under surge every game and not really being in control, that's worrisome for me.
Yeah, I mean, we saw them come out in second game with a really, really good position. Remember, they were controlling everything. This final team on the leaderboard, so lonely over here. It is finally switched up. Not Panda, Caught, Genesis, and Stowe, who ended up taking some space from Xed, are the ones down there with 5 points. The one Elam that got that game. Regardless, what I was basically going back to was C-Scoped and Illist. They get good position, but I think that the way that the zones have played, it's kind of moved over towards the west side, which makes that center position that they've been playing maybe well, maybe not. At least it was really good in game number 2. Kind of makes it weak if it continues to pull over towards Weeping Woods. I guess I should be pushing this way. Don't know my cams too much. But if it continues to go in that direction, it ends up being rough and puts a lot of questions on whether that spot, whether taking control of the middle is actually that good.
I think the one thing that Zayt did to kind of counteract going for center and being stopped is basically holding anyone behind him from rotating, really, that Godfather trio. Anyone coming in from Coral, coming in from Craggy, was getting tagged at that Sweaty Sands checkpoint rather than all the way in Weeping Woods or that center of the map that Zayt's been trying to get every single time. Maybe for Scoped, Illis, and Cease, focus on the people coming from Caddy or looking over at Misty, guys who aren't really used to being pushed over to or kind of have oversight of. That would be, I believe, Commandment, Edgy, and Scented. Regardless, though, something has to change because it's been 3 games where in the first search check, these guys are not there. Search check is, by the way, the name I'm going to be running with. But yeah, it's a trio I want to check out.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. With all the roads on the map, too, you can actually put it as legitimate checkpoints on the road because Saf and them were on that one out of Sweaty Sands, basically going up and down the road, seeing if anybody crosses, they have to pay the toll. We are waiting for game number 4 to get underway. We have 6 games total, so that means we have 3 games to go. We passed the halfway mark, and it's still very close up at the top, but the 2 teams that were up there did not do the hottest in that one, so they didn't move too much in the leaderboard at all. We'll have to see. Let's hop into game number 4. Hop off the bus and see what changes. We've been asking so many questions, and off break, we answer the one that you asked. I think they are uncontested Lazy Lake, and yes, the answer is yes.
I feel like this is an even stronger POI than Authority just for this season. Positionally, very, very similar between both where they are on the map. It's just very surprising to see that these guys are under Surge because they have control of an entire hemisphere. For tags, for loot, for just everything in total. That first Surge check has to be passed. Over here, though, these guys don't really have to worry about Surge, Keys Caster, and as well as IC of the team that they're fighting. They're always getting into altercations. There's always revives going down, so there's even more shotgun damage to be dealt. But I feel like Smack, Keys, and Caster do have the short end of the stick, winning less fights. And overall, being in a worse spot to rotate out of if they want to disengage. You can't really move away from blacktops to anywhere unless you have a southern zone. Even still, you're running into people at Caddy Corner. It's very difficult.
I think they just actually had a switch up that Cloud, Fernando, and Icy are maybe going to be able to take advantage of because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Icy or Jelty, Krizux, and crew were landing Holly Hedges, and now they're over here at Retail Row. Maybe I missed the fact that they were landing here from the start, but yeah, you could see they've already had an engagement at Blacktops, and like you've been mentioning, they have to find some time while Cloud, Fernando, and Icy push directly on top. This fight has gone both ways in different games, so we'll have to see how it goes in this one. Already low HP on the other side, but they do buy the time they need to heal.
It's not going to be enough, though. The biggest thing in this trio versus trio fight is the synergy between players. I just feel like Fernando, ICF, and Cloud have more trust in each other to get these fights done and down. If Cloud ends up going down, which happens a lot of the times, it's a trade. They do a lot of damage or get at least 2 eliminations for the price of 1. So we'll see that's the same here. ICF is the operator. He's the person that gets in first and gets the damage done. So far, though, not going to be the person to open things up. Cloud is the one that's damaged. Once again, the pattern is the same. And now it's Nemo who's actually up top. Coming down early. This fight usually breaks down towards the residential side, so this third-party opportunity is not usually present. It's different. Fernando biting off way more than he can shoot. Gets a lot of his HP taken down off of retaliation. I see him, though, on the backside. Gets a trade as a result. This man is so good at operating off the space that his trio creates, doing damage or getting damage dealt from. Not there, though, with the AR tags. Cloud so close to getting taken out off the backside. But it's all good. I see him now. Fernando's out. It's Caster and Keys. Caster has a lot of HP. I would even just pop this pepper to have the movement. But it's all good for him so far. Not even sure who controls what. This is not Caster's stare, but that's all good. ICF's eyes are set onto Keys, who he's chasing.
They're backing out. From what looked like complete destruction on this one, they end up getting some space again. And this is what basically ended up starting the fight off really well for them. Now going to be able to pop a medkit for Keys. A 2v2 just like always. And ICF and Cloud have no way to really get back into this. ICF still max HP off the siphon that he got when he took out Smacked. And thankfully he did take out Smacked because they might have been able to get that revive off. We're still looking at Nemox up on the right side of this. Take some shots. Yes, in the distance. Cloud 39 onto his head. Keys all the way back down low and he will get tagged out. Casker with only a pump. Only... The headshots and his aim actually lasting so well, so good. He's just tagged them so hard. And now he finds another spot to get back into and hide. All the old builds, they're his. And full control. He has 10 bandages to get back in.
I feel like, yeah, Cloud did have a few more shields. Oh, no way. And Cloud's here. There it is. Nice use of those game mechanics. There's no way you can hide away from a shakedown. And it's a shakedown that ICF actually wanted this time, which is great. Another push happening on the other side of the map. This is absolutely forced. It's not like both these teams are landing side by side. Very interesting, actually. Pandush, Nico, and Haji, if they want to leave Sweaty, have to be able to fight another trio very close to the POI. That trio of Knifer. Because they're basically the highwaymen, the guards of the center of the map.
But look, you can actually see in the distance, Nosh, Paper, and Crew are looking to come in on this one. They're looking to actually engage over the side. They're looking to push again all the way westward to do what they do against Pandush, Nico, and Haji. They do win the Stark ship, the Twin Jets, as they push away Snake, Zlem, and Knifer. We're actually 3rd place right now, if I'm not mistaken. But you're right. I mean, this is a team who will encroach on all of this sort of loop path. And they've got to be careful. Here comes Zypha. Nosh and Paper, though. They're going to get a couple tags. Pandish has to get over this hill. Nosh is sitting in the castle. They're actually set up for this. Assault, too. For some reason, they're out here.
Oh, no, now he's...
There's the beam,
now
but not much.
You do not want to be on any side of this. They're going into Coral Castle territory, and the guys over there are very, very angry. These guys are actually taking things all the way to the ocean. No preparation for anyone really over there. Even if you have builds, you know how fast they can just get absolutely demolished if you just shoot the right walls.
There's no castle to hide in, no building. They literally just have to swim off.
They're pushed off the edge of the world. They have no home. This is sad to see. But, like, I just don't know what else they can do. Will these guys actually go for that hunt that far? Maybe that's what Nico, Haji, and Pandush are doing. How far will Paper, Zypha, and Nosh actually push this? To make these guys just leave this side of the map? Are they trying to get them to just quit playing Fortnite? I'm not sure. But it looks like it from this chase. Still going forward.
Crash pad up on a height will actually put Paper in a perfect position to completely beam Haji, and there's also a porta fort used to take height on them too. Position again, advantage Paper, Zypha, Nosh. Although Nosh sniped, I think this is tough. They're pushing over, yes. They've got the edits on the porta fort. Paper will end up stopping that res and going for this. Yes, he's got the box with the stair flip. He gets away. A complete reversal. Now on the backside, there's still an energy rifle being used. Gotta be so careful. Zypha's going for the res, but that costs Paper his life. And also the Chug splashes, but Zypha responds. What a shot there. On to the other side, a 1v3 now underway. Already getting one down. Can he find another? Crash pad up. He gets a little bit more space, a double edit. Where's the rest of these guys? He's still got materials, 20 bills, but the energy rifle will rip right through that, and he's not actually be able to get some space that he wanted to, and now almost out of bills.
Final box, this is it. 2 people in front of his face, it's not enough. And stretching this trio out the entire way off the map in no one's domain was the trick for Nico, Haji, and Pandush. I'm not going to say that's a bad decision from Zypha's squad either, because these guys are 5th overall, and this has been working. But now, Nico, Haji, and Pandush have found a home. They found a way to get an advantage, and this story is only just beginning.
Have they, though? Because what I'm seeing is they have no home, and they're just getting chased out, blown away to the sides of the map. And yes, you might think that they're pulling them in that direction, but to me that was a sign of desperation to get out of there. Tabs, Coop, and Skittles finding Elim themselves, and look who's there on the west side of them. This is an old split that we are used to seeing. It's actually Saf and Stretch who've taken control of the bridge. They've taken control of the little hill east of Doom's domain, and also even further south. They're split so wide, and they're going to have to rotate off of this, but tags abound.
And I was going to say that this split might be a bad idea, judging off the past zones. You want to possibly not split, not go for loot, stay together and go for tags. It's a northern zone now, though. These guys get to be the gatekeepers, the position that they've always been the most comfortable in, letting people not get into the storm, going for those easy tags. Vix, Rox, and AJ, though, are going to be right beside Bucky, Kuro, Kanata. Not actually going for shots. They're waiting to stop anyone who's on the top side of this leaderboard. It's Glace, Narwhal, and Ace. As people race away, these guys still have the gas from the station end position. They actually get tagged down. I have no clue. He's getting tagged through it.
Bro, his car is in the water. He's actually made it to the other side. I don't know how he's done that, but even though it's waterlogged, he makes his way out. Bully boxed like a fish. DJ nowhere to help him. Animal neither. Into Iciv. Cloud and Fernando, who's gotten rebooted, so they made their way out of Retail Row and now onto another fight, but low HP. Fernando down against an Animal. He's going to be able to get the Siphon, yes. Materials too. But can he actually find Degen, his teammate? Yes, they're right next to each other. Cloud, Fernando, and Iciv have kind of moved in like a freight train onto the other side of this box. But I think the tracks have stopped now, or is this on the rails? Are they going to continue onto Animal and Degen? No.
Doesn't matter. There's a cost to actually run that vehicle. Bully's got it taken out on both sides. Knocks and eliminations. Now, tags being rained down. This is where Scoped, Illis, and Cease decide to stay. When it's a north pulling zone, I feel like this position on the map is where they can get a lot of tags. This will not happen every game, though. So once again, they haven't changed their game plan at all. Working for them this time, though.
Well, they pulled a little bit farther east. Oh my goodness, what is this? A school of dolphins down the river up north. This is going to be the first northeastern zone we've had, and there we go, Surge, but only 4 players on the notifications. This might not even activate, so we don't have to pay too much attention to it at all. We're talking. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Oh, we're familiar with this one.
Got the boxed up, souped up whiplashes, and they're gone off the mountains. I wonder if they're going to be able to keep that. I think we saw Creo, Kanata, and Bucky, same situation, a little bit weaker cars. Maybe they're not invested in the sports cars, or maybe the industrial habitat of Slurpy Swamps is not enough, whereas Lazy Lake and Misty Meadows, Sweaty Sands, these kind of places actually spawn those whiplashes a little bit more frequently. I'm wondering if that's going to be meta in the future. I think it will be. I mean, every vehicle we've seen has been meta. Every vehicle with more than 1,000 HP has been so meta.
Right now, there is no chance to run away, get in a vehicle, or anything for Avery. Once again, a scope they are not going to be enough to really go forward, just like we saw with Stretch in a box fight. These bases that are pushed and kind of erected all around the map, it's actually an interesting strat to just go dive on them. There might be a person who's not prepped for box fighting, prepped for long-range engagements. And teams who are taking advantage of this are actually coming out of it every single time we've seen so far on top.
If you pick your base well, you don't have to worry about that at all, because you have the vision on all sides. But if you can get snuck up on from a POV that you really can't see too much, maybe a hill in the way blocking, and all of a sudden you get triple ramps. And we've seen it happen. And even from distance, you see some teams triple ramp on what is clearly one person. I'll have to pay attention to that. Rock's now on side of zone. Third zone has been revealed, so he doesn't have to worry too much. He's trying to get above the situation that he's had game after game. They've made it work somehow, Rox, AJ, and Vix. Somehow, some way, with Surge in their way, they continue to actually make it through and get above, but this game might be a little different. Not finding anything just yet, though. AJ, though, they've actually trapped C-Scoped and Illust, and maybe this advance might be too much. Oh! What just happened to Furious? Has and Avery, they just got wiped by clicks instantly. We saw them in a good position. You mentioned the possibility of getting ramped. Furious was by himself in a tower up near Craggy Cliffs, where we know those guys like to hunt.
Even if it's a tower that's unreachable, people like Clicks will find a way to get there. And once they're on your box, it's over. Even if you're a pro, there's some people whose specialty is box fighting, and they're so good close range. I feel like ICF is kind of taking that over. I'll talk about him in action just a second, because this is the fight that's actually breaking down on all sides of things.
Careful. We got a lot of different updates right now, but I was looking at Rox, who looked to maybe want to crash pad one out. In the bottom right, we have Creo. We have Built by Solo Mid. That's the name of the team from now on. Built by Solo Mid up at Steamy Stacks. They're going to be able to get control of that and also potentially fish. Yes, Kanata, who doesn't have much in his inventory, maybe dropped it back with his team, have a free reign on the Steamy Stacks. And from the success of Steamy and Solos, we're definitely going to see some powerhouse at a Steamy so far, but I don't really know who it is in NA East just yet. Obviously, these guys landing Slurpee, a big road trip that they took. Yeah. From Southside all the way to Steamy, and potentially still have the vehicles as well in tow, but I think with the air tunnels, they're going to use that instead. Here's Calc, Clicks, and Macwood. They're fighting, except he's low. He's very low. And I think he's a solo too. No, there they are, but Clicks box him off. Yes, he blocks the position. That gives Calc and Macwood time for them to dive in while Clicks controls this other side. No, the pinch is not there. They don't realize that the player that's low is on the other side, except there they are. More pinch on the backside. There's Bazone coming too. Ooh, maybe a big mistake from this trio.
I don't think so. Clicks is kind of filling himself in these boxes. I feel like he's going to deal a lot of damage. Unfortunately, they're blocked off on the other side. I'll take it back. Oh, no. Big mistake. Huge mistake. Detrimental error for this team. My goodness, they're taken out in a blink of an eye.
They're trying to W key like MMB, but in this case, It's MCC. Xset will be the guys who end up on top of that fight, and with that 6 eliminations already, but this is going to be a 5-tick when the zone closes. The roller's still there. They've got to get in. They've got to get in now. Thankfully a bandage bazooka, but no, it's only a bandage that goes out. Shark does not even heal himself for that one. They'll get in. AV now down though, so that's one of their teammates out. D-roller in the zone. They try to get the tag, and no, I don't think they got it. I don't think they got it at all. Shark taking a big risk. A very big risk. As he's not in yet, still has the bandage bazooka, but how many charges? And did Knight actually find himself space? Yes, they do. Hopefully there's band-aids on this other side.
The zone might be not as safe with the Storm in this instance. There's bigger damage than just 5 ticks a second. It's pumps and ARs from trios who are just hunting people coming in late off the side. Xset might be eliminated here in just a second. There is a port-to-port to drop down from Knight if possible. Does not actually find a way to get shots in. This team is fast. Cone slides edits. Actually, it was Haji down below who Knight almost knocked into.
Knight now in a 1 versus 3, maybe 1 versus 6. Legend and Summer and Typhoon are also involved in this, and they got a ton of the loot, a ton of the spoils, another box fight in Steamy Stacks. Edge and Crew against Sculpt, Illis, and Cease, and they win. They win. Actually, Narwhal involved in that fight as well. 3 ways. On so many sides, these relationships so rough. I have to say, though, from the bottom against the top, it was the players who were, after game 2, 0 points. Pandoosh, Nico, and Haji, who end up taking Xset. What just happened on this west side of the map? I mean, like, we're still seeing trios fall over here because of the way that they're storm fighting. This is not classic NA East at all. Some are going to have to make a mid-zone res. Revive. And look at the congestion in the bottom left of that zone. Hopefully, we don't see a lobby focus for the team that we're also paying attention to at the top.
This is not even a dead side. This is a dead zone. The majority of it. I feel like everyone is just there box to box. Pandoosh Haji taken out. Nico actually the last person left alive. Haji there with a sliver of HP. He is not going to be able to get in. I believe this is Creo.
No,
paired with the Doom Gauntlets. I thought Creo was rotating on the north side. It might be 2 trios. No, it's just 1 actually. One is closer to zone, but regardless, you're not going to be able to be safe or play a game from this position. Like,
I think that the Built by Solo Min is literally chilling on the beach, sipping drinks right now, down on the bottom right of the mini-map. Maybe in a box right now as there's another team.
Oh,
look at the 5th zone. Where are we going? We're going to Africa, off the coast. Literally gonna hop on a boat and ride off the side of the map. What is going on in this game? I mean, I can kind of understand with the way that these zones are pulling why so much chaos just broke out, but I also think that a lot of it is to do with people just trying to box fight and get really involved.
Okay,
Speaking of
Nico.
involved, where did this come from? All of a sudden, they've gotten like 3 trio wipes.
That is the perfect person that Nico could have fought too, because Assault only had Daxor left over from the early game. Nico will have another 1v1 to take. Never mind. It's a whole trio in front of him. Trying to do something, get some distractions down. Somehow he's still alive. He's barely taking any damage. Nico, is it God Ping or is it your movement? Regardless, doesn't matter anymore. It's Samurai who takes them out. Legend Ian gets revived. Typhoon's behind him. Somehow these guys are now max shields? What is going on?
And this is a team who also came from the west side, but they're big chilling. Haven't had to shoot anybody. Thankfully, Surge will really not be an impact at all in this game. If it is, it's going to be chaotic. We're not going to be able to tell who the heck is up on top of the leaderboard at all, because Xset down, a team who we know has a lot to say in the Surge leaderboards, and pretty much everybody has been involved in one fight or another.
I'm convinced that if this zone pulls even more closer to the top right, it's the revenge of Xset from the grave, because we're going straight to the yacht. Possibly. Who knows? Or the remnants of it. These guys are pissed. Like, hey, come back to our other...
What?
What's happening on height here?
He just jumped up with the gauntlets and then threw the bomb directly on the team on height. Stretch, Saf, and Zate are contesting off the side of the map right now, and they've had it. Yes! Stretch with 23 HP though, and Zate has fallen to Legedian, who all of a sudden from low ground are on height or continue to pull over the water. Saf is going to hold on and actually pressure off Typhoon. Yes, they've gotten some mobility and some heals, hopefully to get Stretch back in this game. They got 12 seconds to wait right now and to get back into it.
They have way more than that. They actually have the position for zone overall when it's pulling towards them. I gotta calm down for a second. Just off of Legedian's like run there. He was in Storm, got targeted by 3, pulled off a revive, affects the team on high ground. This is the first endgame 2 from Ronaldo, Blake Epps, and Riverson tonight. Not actually winning off of 4 castles. Let's see what they'll actually be able to do following an opponent's start that feels like, no, this is someone all the way in the front. It's actually not Ronaldo leading this time. Might be River. And as they go on, no one's actually getting taken out. Every trio is surviving on this rotation. Absolutely aquatic too. There's no land to really hold on to. Finally, I'm hearing the bass, the 808s from Doom's Gauntlet. But it's getting a little bit of trouble getting online. Class Who Fishy
Where is it?
and Eclipse have taken height.
Where is it? They finally took height. They had the opportunity in game number 1, but where's Zate, Saf, and Stretch?
Mid ground.
Oh, wait, go down. There's Saf in the middle. Look at low ground. It's Bucky Creo. No Kanata. There is no Skrillex in this game. Saf and Stretchy's in a box. Oh, so close. Yes, he gets out and also gets a siphon at the same time on Lazard. Pier crash pads will get him in. Stretch is now down. Saf clutching up by himself. He's got the pump that he needs. He was God pumping the last time in duos, and it will be a crash pad up. Oh, it's chaos. Where is this going? Groot ball? No, it doesn't connect. And now that's the end for them in 12th place somehow.
There are going to be new winners here. The leaderboard's going to change off of this game. Narwhal getting a bunch of eliminations. He's actually in Storm right now getting all of them, so big cost. He's going to be taking out that trio taken over. 6 eliminations, it's all good for them. Class Who Fishy and Eclipse will be the ones on height.
We might see a shift in the leaderboards, but not for first place because Bucky and Creo are still alive in this. Meanwhile, Class Who Fishy and Eclipse have the height, have what it takes. They've got Doom's Gauntlet. They will pressure through. Like we saw multiple games, it will end up being them pressuring down below. Ronaldo with a big pump on the summer, and he will dance it through, but it's going over. This team is actually got to get up. This is hard to get through, and he does. Thankfully, his team is still gliding the way forward, and he'll get back right with them.
There it is, the saving grace. No one can get touched by the gauntlets now. Everyone is in the air. We're changing the way we're watching this one. Ronaldo misses. He misses.
No,
actually setting up for a base. His entire trio has to just kind of walk around. He could get another one all the way in. No, so much damage. Class actually taken over from the top. The gauntlets cannot stop people flying over onto you. It's like a rift to go for the whole lobby all the way up top with the Simi Stacks. Drift. Tabs G now is in control.
It's PAX West all over again. What is going on? In the words of the great Courage JD, everybody in the wind tunnel, everybody trying to stop it. No, Ronaldo, who's made it in suddenly, has gone right back up. The people right now are trying to stay off of this floating pattern. It's everybody going right on top of each other, landing again. Ronaldo going for heights. His Lucky's still staying down low. Well played from him. He's going to be able to survive so long while everybody else is dancing up and down over top through the winds.
Wait a minute. How are these guys going to get down? Bouncer. Okay, they have that pocket tool to get all the way to the bottom. And now we're all the way in box fights. Did the gauntlet survive, though, for this endgame? Is it going to be natural is the question. 3 trios left. I feel like it's a 2v2v2 unless one is completely alive. We're now into duos, and the gauntlets are alive on height with Skittles.
Yeah, they are, but Rivers with a bounce pad will take out Tabs. A double bounce pad, but Blake will hold on. Ronaldo trying to clutch up. They've got 9 elims. This is a full trio, not 2v2v2. It's a 3v1. One player on height. No, Riverson was the one who contested that. Yeah, it's his Lucky inside of the buildings. Like we said, all the way from low ground. Right now, 1 versus 3. Is it possible? I say not, but hey, he's got an epic pump. No match though, and he has to break through. Only 20 HP. It's gonna be a storm tick 2. No. Says Lucky falls, and Ronaldo, Blake, and Riverson finally they reach endgame, and finally they actually outplay everybody in one of the craziest zones I've ever seen going through Steamy Stacks.
I guess Coral Castles did have a secret the entire time. These guys end up winning out the game and had the only performance they've had today be one of the best ones we've seen in terms of control. That is such a hard zone to play in general. The fact of not only your whole trio, but if you make a mistake, survive form. Not sure how Ronaldo was full HP, but we saw him get lost straight inside the wind tunnel. Outside of it, wasn't able to land. It was a 2-man operation for his trio. But man, what a performance.
Dude, I'm pretty excited to see Ronaldo take that dub because what I know from him back in the squads day, he is the squads champion. We'll have to put some respect on his name, but also one of the most clutch players throughout all of squads. And he just showed off that his full trio was alive, yes, but what he did on height there, the way he danced up and down, he wasn't even outside his zone with almost no way to get back in. The way that the zone was moving through the stack there, ended up going down and back up and played off of height, back and forth, actually outplaying and juking it like he's playing basketball, breaking ankles up on the top. I've got to give it to him as the MVP of that game.
I would agree, but still, what was that game? Like from beginning to end, what was that actual game? Like fourth zone to fifth zone, the storm fights that were going down, the steamy stacks, like what?
Hey, man, Fortnite. Fortnite. That's what it is, man. That's what it is. That's what these things are some of the most exciting to watch, right? I mean, sure, it might be chaos, but what ends up happening from chaos is some sort of harmony, and that was Ronaldo's crew who ended up really dominating from that one. We have the leaderboard. Hopefully that's a big rise for Ronaldo and crew, but I think at the top is going to be a big lead. No, it's not that big for Creo, Bucky, and Kanata over X sets. For Built by Solo Mid, 5 points now. The gap has actually shrunk from what I expected to actually be wide, but what we saw from Xset, even though they fell in that fourth zone rotate, was actually a lot of elims on that backside of zone.
I think they're leading the pack of the entire server eliminations right now. So if they're not playing their regular placement game, they are keeping up with everyone else in terms of elims. And although we saw not last one alive in that game all the way at 7th zone, was not enough to really shake the X-Set trio off his and their tail. Past that though, this leaderboard's kind of looking the same in terms of top 3 to top 5. Knifer, Narwhal, and Coop are holding the spots they had before. Coop actually with a big comeback all the way up to 3rd. I think he was at 10th at one point. Now looking comfortable based off of that retake in game number 4.
Yeah, they're getting there. Absolutely, they're getting back up there. It must have been a huge rise for them. Narwhal, Ace, and Glaze do continue to hold on. It's actually pretty tight when you think about how many points you can get in a game. First place is 70 points plus 5 points per elim. So just because it's 15 points or 40 points or something like that, that is not that much. We've got to keep it in that mindset, similar to a DreamHack format when you're looking at solos. So not that big of a gap between basically all the top 5.
Not that big of a change all the way down to top 16 either. The biggest names though are in 16th place, Zypha, Nosh, and Paper. 5th place last game, now down to 16th after that game. So surprising. On the next page, though, let's check things out and see exactly what the middle of the pack is looking like, or the back half. Scoped, Illis, and Cease kind of rising up in their strap, but still 20th place. I want to see more, especially off of that zone, landing at lazy uncontested. You got to at least at the end game.
The cat is freaking me out right now, just running all over the place. Got the zoomies. We're going to zoom through the rest of these pages. Let's look at the last 2 right now, Typhoon, Legedian, and Summer. In 25th, we saw them have a little bit of success on the side of zone, probably the most success out of all the teams that got stuck there with Clicks, Calc, and Macwood, and Xset, and everybody else. Animal, Bully, and DJ, we saw them in a box fight on the south side, as we saw team Built by Solo Mid basically drive by them. Jack, Qua, and Acorn still struggling. I think they fell off spawn in that game as well. So as we go into the last 2 games, we got to see it change. Who's the lone man? The lone team, I guess. Not Panda Kai, Genesis, Stowe. 5 points change, but they're still there. Unfortunately, all lonely on this last page. So with that said, we've got 2 more games remaining. We need a quick break to basically figure out how we're going to survive after watching what we just saw going forward. When we return, we got the final 2 games of the War Legend Invitational featuring NA East. You can't hold on against 3 players. Just W king and phasing in. Mind games.
Hey, another game at least that we see River, Ronaldo, and Blake. So that's going to be kind of different for the teams on height and mid-ground. You guys are very sticky, very adaptive. But speaking of the team, there's a little bit of an issue happening at Doomsday. Maybe we don't see every game. A team has slid in the yellow arrows. Who could they be?
This happens, actually. This happens frequently. This is Xro, Unknown, and Chaotic. And they push over from risky reels, sometimes even land on Doom's domain. They keep it slightly different. I think now finally realizing the pressure that they can put on them, but no. Saf, Zayt, and Stretch have already gotten Dr. Doom himself. They've gotten the vault. Now Unknown, Chaotic, and Zexor are kind of just waiting it out so that they can get their turn at the vaults.
Yo, Unknown is dripping. I'm not gonna lie. This combo.
That is an alpha, yeah. That's kind of fire. Did they fix the gauntlets already?
I don't know, but just for the gauntlets, I would take a slower pick next week. I want to play, man. Someone in chat hit us up. I'm pretty sure one trio has stopped playing, so we could sub in and cast at the same time, right? That'd be chill.
Yeah, Kraz, possible? We'd get smoked. Pandoosh, Nico, Haji, a little different this time. Up on the castle and doing what they need to do to keep these guys away. They've already gotten a porta-fort down and looking through the cone, looking to see if they're going to approach. It's a split approach this time from Paper Zypha and Nosh. And I think they see it. They've got all angles covered. There's no way that this is still a push that's going to happen.
Shockwaves. One of these guys has to have shockwaves, and it's all going to just hit the fan. I guarantee it. Zypha will not stop.
Meanwhile, Macwood, Cock, and Clicks have made their way out of Craggy Cliffs. Zone not too far away from them. Zexro, though, nearby. He might be able to take some shots on them as they come out over the hill. They're actually looking at Skittles Coop. No, sorry. Yeah, Skittles Coop. And Tabs G on the other side, who is up there. Very close. On the top of the standings, they don't actually go into the vault at all. I'm actually shook right now because I'm realizing how close in symmetry this rift is to where it was in chapter 1. And I'm like calculating. I'm like, oh my goodness, are all the rifts in the same spot?
We had Greasy Grove. The head's there. A bunch all the way around. Oh my god, Cease. Landed on. It's a combat though from Zexro, so I mean this looks like some chapter 1 gameplay in terms of the push. This is what rifts let you do. These guys are all online. Illis and Scope actually have to catch up to Cease, so they're gonna be a little bit less fast coming into this fight. A little bit of an opening, but yeah, they didn't get much at all.
Anything in that. Like, they W-keyed in that box with Cease, but he falls all the way back and really not even too much damage, too. And I think they're gone. I mean, you can see in the distance some of the arrows swimming away from this. Even entirely. Oh, no, they're still, I think, just directly above him. Now I really see this, pay attention. I think it was Aspect on the other side. Yep, they're directly up on top of the billboard. Illis and them, they're split. Trying to keep eyes down below. They got to be careful with just wood. Look at this fight. This is still ongoing. Jack Acorn and crew, I think, still against Knifer, Snake, and Zlem in the bottom right.
They have all the time in the world. This side of the map does have zone. I have to assume, though, that Jack, Acorn, and Quad do not have the materials to be able to upkeep this fight. This is the last place team's perspective as well that's in here. COD, Genesis, Panda, and Stowe, actually. I don't think it's Knifer, unless there's 3 teams here.
Ooh. Yeah, it is just
from all
that
sides.
Team Stowe.
Yeah.
COD Genesis and not Panda, and they did take high ground. It wasn't owned by anyone. Meanwhile, Unknown is taking out one, but they've lost Chaotic. He's in another box up in the top right. He gets taken out, but at the same time, this fight is going on. Stowe takes out COD Genesis in a 2 versus 2, I believe. Trying to see what's happening on the other side. Yes, Stowe will take out one. They're actually going to be able to get the revive, I think. And there's no way that Acorn Jack, who already were down one, I think this fight is still ongoing. You said the time is alive, and same thing for Zexo. He picks up unknown. I'm wondering if they traded.
Ooh, Zexo gets dropped down. Both players actually in the same box. Chuck Splash has also popped through, but from the backside, there's someone else on the top right. I think it's Illist who actually ends up cleaning up that entire fight off of the pressure that Cease put down. The question is, where will they reboot? Question for both teams here. Because there will be trades that'll be happening. Ball's now taken out. It's all up to Jock. Big shot! Oh my god, Jock. That's huge, and he falls down into water.
No,
it's all good for him.
They can just land on him, but they don't realize the situation. Jack will get up, maybe pop some minis. No way to get any mats down here in the water, though, so almost no chance of survival at all. There's a brick piece, just one. Oh, a little bouncer. You might actually make a play. There's no chance, bro. There's another one. What? Nico is taking out Paper at the same time. Up in the farther north of this, so that fight did end up breaking out. Nico and Pandushin crew are going to be the ones up top. They're still so low. One harpoon could actually take out possibly both of them, given their HP situation, but low material still. There's one down in the water. Oh, almost, but no cigar as he makes the edit, as both have that scene directly in front of him. No Storm Surge in this game. Game number 5. Oh, okay, I was looking in the feed. We're still looking in the feed because Zypha takes out Pandouche, but Saf took out Calc and Clicks. Stretch took out Macwood at the start of this. So a fight that also happens, Craggy Cliff pushing into Doom's domain. Saf with the God Pump, legendary. Will make it work, and it's over for them.
They get to reclaim Doom's domain, just operating around his vicinity. Really making Zexro think about if he wants to rotate into here. Really making Clicks regret rotating into here. From the start of this game. Past that, little clarity, Mikey in a fight of their own. It's getting messy on low ground, but they wrap it up quickly.
These
guys are in that top 20 spot. It's slowing down slightly and speeding up on other sides too. One thing remains, this team will always end up fighting Nico, Pandouche, and Haji. I don't care if you have a Porter Fortress or even if you're on the spawn helicarrier. I feel like Zypha will find a way. What is the message you're trying to send?
At this point, they started off strong, man. It was 3 games that they had, or maybe 2 games that they ended up completely dominating on them. Last 2, though, went differently, and this one looks to end up in the same direction. Losing once again off of a push, but hey, I'm happy that NA East gets to see what we saw in EU for squads with the way that Micho, Falcon Lee, CRR, and Kinzel ended up fighting against 4ZR, Noword, and crew. That was a bloodbath. Just like we saw at the Shark, too, in EU. NA starting off strong in terms of grief fest at different spots. My goodness. 64
this is a bit more
players
creative,
alive,
right?
and the map looks literally empty.
Everyone's staying side by side. I'm not sure what this means for Surge overall when we finally get that check in the half and half zone. I imagine it has to happen. But not many people will be going down. Actually, take that back. There's 3 teams that need to rotate in from the west side. I'm not sure who that pink team is, the arrows on the bottom left, but I feel like they're about to see some action. If we're able to switch over to them, it might be TJ's squad up there, but zone gets centralized onto the Salty Springs Bridge, and it's Kriro, Bucky, and Kanata that have the God position.
That it is. Ooh. It's empty, too, in the zone already. One of them just want to keep those cars. This is full
there are some that are
metal
locked
too,
down.
which is not something that everybody else is going to be able to say. Sorry. But center position, too, they're going to get 4th zone. Potentially even 5th. I have to say, looking like a winning position for them.
I feel like when it's early, you can't call it. Liz, or not Liz, I have to find a name for this trio, but Lazar, Sizz, and Vivid. These guys have been in positions where they have like a god spot. Even if it's height and it's opposite zone, you have rotation to be able to catch up. They never actually translated. Yeah, center for third, it's amazing. But even looking at last game, the way Zayt, Saf, and Stretch were controlling height, when you have these wildcard trios that end up surviving off spawn, like Ronaldo, Blake, Riverson, even with a god position, you can't always expect things to go right.
Ain't that facts? Look at the Godfather team. They've actually based up not too far from that bridge. Actually still have a split. Stretch is on height, waiting as they're still farming down below inside of that building, the old henchman building. Actually, I think still have a henchman chest, if I'm not mistaken. It's gonna be a little quieter, but people are gonna survive for a lot longer through this rotation.
Update just on people who are alive and taken out. I see Fernando Cloud, although ending up winning up that fight off spawn just a little bit, deleted off of Rito Row. And the 5th place team, Knifer, Zlem, and Snake, have been eliminated so far.
Where's Exet?
In this game, so. Where's Exet? Or.
Yeah. I'm curious on their position because, I mean, they're still 2nd place, right? Where are they? They're alive in the game. I can tell you that for sure. Oh, there you go. Knight just got a pick on Panda, who was all the way over towards the west side. So maybe that's that fight. The purple versus red in the south. Eclipse and crew are going to take... Oh, no. Directly below. That's stowing them. So Knight got that from range. He's up north. He's the little grayish teal arrows up by the river.
This is the quietest this tournament's been so far.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what happens when the entire lobby W keys each other off of spawn. We haven't seen the Surge board pop up a single time. A single time, not even notifications. So mind you, very close to the chest. We'll finally see it in a couple seconds here. And when it's in these situations, it's kind of, it feels random, but I think it's a little bit more consistent, unless it's that situation that we had in game number, 4.
One thing to know about Surge this time is that there's so many teams that are spaced out all the way around. Oh my god, Eclipse with the Godfall strat will not have the shot to actually be able to capitalize off of it. Hoofishy's down too, in the very same fashion. Did these guys need this?
I think they knew that it was only 2 players. No, it's actually Stokot Genesis. Is Panda still there? He's gonna go for it still. Risky. Here it is, into the box. But the crash pad stays, he has to break it. Yeah, no, that doesn't work. Now no rotation in. That was the last crash pad he could have used to stay in and maybe get some placement. There's Lizzie P. Or was it Sizzy P? I don't know.
It's a work in progress. These guys are also a work in progress. There's been a switch of trios, I guess. There's 2 people alive with Stowe's trio and only Class right now. They could theoretically work as a team without actually, you know, teaming to get into Storm. These 2 guys just building, Class following. Impromptu trios in front of our eyes.
Yeah, much different than what we saw at Team Stacks, where it was like, no way, no how am I going to rotate side by side with you without shooting. It kind of felt like we forgot the ways of the chapter, the Season 1. Rotates. Class is dead. Yep, done. To the hands of Edgy. There's the board, the Surge board. Vivids is lucky in his RP. Lizzie P again, down 36 damage. Need to find a way in. X set way above. No sign of the Godfathers. Zayt and Stretch on that board, so they're way above. 4 more players need to go down. It's going to be 5 who are getting ticked because of Vivids is lucky and Lazar P all being below. This is actually going to go active. This is a problem. There's the Godfather team. They're diving. Oh. They've got a long rotate ahead, and they're not spending any mobility.
I feel like this is fine because many teams, if they're in major trouble, will be looking to box dive. There's not going to be anyone crazy really looking for shots and tags. Possibly just waiting for people to rotate in front of you so you can follow, like that Chapter 1 rotation you were talking about. I think that people are Season 1. I think that people are most used to. Was that stretch just going sky high? Trying to find a base and footing on this base.
That was
nice.
Free. That was free. They just ramped it. One shockwave used. No, not even. That was somebody else. Imagine. That's all I have to say about that. Haji, no. Unfortunately, Blake does get some beams on you. Riverson with the 3 Elans that he got in Coral Castle. They make it to another endgame. And this is an opportunity for Ronaldo, Blake, and Riverson to go back to back as they make it to another endgame.
They're finding a very sneaky path through mid-ground. Meanwhile, we're going to tune in with the nice guys.
That was a good
They're going to be having tough times in zone. Riverson, Ronaldo, and Blake actually boxing the last of the trio. But Vivid does end up escaping.
Lazar was trying to heal it in zone with slugfish and stuff. Wildstorm surge is active
started.
on top of him. Yeah, here we go. Zay and Stretch reigning supreme. We already saw them take 1 game. And already we hear the thunder from above. Vivid made it in. I was going to say, by the way, really nice catch from Ace onto Blake, who is in 4th with Narwhal and Glace. A lot of people starting to see their name over and over again and wonder. They're 6 damage above, even with the Elim that they got onto Riverson. And now the 6-zone rotate going all the way east. Edgy, Commandment, and Scented on foot. They go. I like it.
When the lobby's this empty, you get a little bit more creative and have a little bit more room on how you want to rotate.
Dude, I think that Stretch sees X set. I think he literally sees them. Yeah, he's firing directly on where their base was. I think he knows who he wants to stop in this game. And here it goes, all the way heights. Now just spamming anybody on forward. He's going to stay so high. Don't forget, you can double jump off of this. This is why he does not care to be high at all. He does not worry about it. I'm going to take some tags. I think Zayt and Saf are ahead of them. Oh, got to be careful. He's stuck. He's not with his team. They've got to pressure to get back to this. Yes, Skittles is actually challenging. There's DJ. Nice awareness from Stretch to stay away.
He gets up all the way, gets to recycle the bouncer. Coop gets a shot onto Mikey, takes him out, eliminates him. That's that trio gone. A few people underneath Surge, but that doesn't matter too much. There will be damage traded all the way around. 7 zone hasn't locked in just yet. It's still the Godfather trio all the way up on height. Edgy finds up an endgame. Commandment is down though, and it's just him and Scented. Classic duo. Looking to make things work again. Stretches way sky high though, and raining down on anyone that's ahead of the zone. Basically making the only advantage of their position absolutely null. Everyone just gets to catch up to them. They're stuck into a box fight.
Tap, Stretch, and Jamper. Strep and Jamper, sorry. Back on low again. They made this position work so many times already. Kanata and Creo still up. They make it over Surge right now, but I think they already struggle a little bit. They might be in a box fight that will cost them their life, but also missing Bucky entirely. Team built by Solo Mid. Where are they to be found? They're in the lead, but not from that much. Where is X set? Have they already fallen? There's 13 teams left. I have to guess that they haven't, but keep your eyes peeled for them.
Right now, we're getting to that spot where every team is just squished side by side with each other. Someone's getting surged right below Edgy and Scented. They see it. It's the whole trio. 3 eliminations here. A harpoon that doesn't actually grab the loot but the body. And Edgy lands another one onto an enemy. My God. Fishing for bigger fish and he's actually trying to catch. Edgy's now moving forward with Scented. They're going wall to wall, but there's protection on all sides. They have to drop a little bit lower to see if they can get anything done on the feed though. Strap DJ. Stretch getting DGen down from up above. And now the focus is onto Edgy and Scented. They get rained down from electricity up above, down to the chaos that's below, the pump shots, the lead, the bullets. Edgy does not survive. Scented is the only one left.
And that's the strength of the ultimate low that Chap has been on for so long and why he reigns supreme at the top of competitive Fortnite. Nowhere is Stretch able to get that damage down on him, and basically Stretch is dropping people into chat and letting them have that. Now they're going to continue to fight. Bully there. Kanata and Creo still alive in this one, working this. Xset fully down, by the way. I don't know where they fell, but certainly before a lot of placement. So this is a chance for by Solo Mid to completely rise over time. Oh, what a shot from Stretch on the Kanata. Strap on the Kanata, and it's fully burning. But this is fine. As Chapman finds his way forward. Still some shockwaves too. They could split. 3 teams left. 6 players remaining. I have to believe 3 versus 2 versus 1. There it is. Spray down on the Bully. Bully's the last player by himself remaining. It's Jamper and Strep. There it is. Shockwave up. A bunch of multiple teams going as well. Zate though, 2 HP. There's the Siphon, yes, but it's all up to him and Saf, the God duo together against Jamper up on height.
Wait a minute.
Spray him down. Possibly 1 versus 2. Where is this going to go? Still some time remaining for Jetfer to hold on, and a lot of builds too. I think even has some hards. There's a crack at it, but he blocks. Nice play so far. Zate's starting to spray. They're still going to be positions, but so low. Dropping down, yes! Can he get the 2v? Yes! Jetfer's gotten it! He's done it! A 1 versus 2 against one of the best duos of all time, and they almost pulled it off. Attempt at the high ground, spray at the same time that Saf had, but out in zone was Zete, and he was on a time ticking down. What a play from Jamper. He takes out that 1v2.
He wins his ones, and he isolated that fight perfectly. Jamper up against Saf. Zate's trapped all the way at the back, but that's a result of Zate basically being the insurance for the trio, tracking down Bully so far that Jamper got to just take height all the way through past that tunnel vision. So good on Jamper in seeing that, even if he didn't see it. Perfectly timed, very fortunate for that trio. Posick was the one that ends up taking out Chab. So although they're dominators for low ground control, it did get a little bit messy. But if you can clutch like that, like Jamper at the end, what else do you need?
And if you can consistently play in those positions, no matter Surge or anything like that, I mean, we've seen them struggle so many times. We're talking about Chap, Jamper, and Strap right now. If you can consistently play from those positions, that is pretty much the freest ride with all the chaos and volatility with Doom's Gauntlet from Stretch, Saf, and Zate spamming down on you, and then ended up winning your ones in that situation, winning your 1v2s in that situation. That's clutch. That's clutch. And that will count in FNCS. That will 100% count compared to a team who has fallen multiple times. I mean, they've won a game, but every other game has kind of been a little bit rougher for them when they have some high ground takes. Let's see where this is, because there's a lot. I think Creo Kanata might hold on, but Chap and Jamper Strep might have caught up. Let's take a look.
Yeah, the leaderboard specifically for this game, it was a 6th versus 7th place battle. At the end, between Jamper and the God trio of Zate, Stretch, and Saf, Jamper winning that 1v2 boosts them all the way up, but just not enough because they had so many eliminations. It's Coop, though, with the first place, surprisingly.
Yeah, this came out of nowhere, and I don't have a match breakdown, so I guess we could look at what happened for them in that game specifically. It was 5 elims for Coop and a 1 elim for Skittles. I don't know where they placed, but that's at least some of the points that they had. And of course, they were 4th place going in this last, 3rd going in this last one. So there they go. They rise over top. Xset fell very early. You could see they haven't really moved on the leaderboard at all. They were there pretty much. Maybe a couple of elims that they got, but not much more. Creo, Bucky, and Kanata, they made it towards endgame. That's 30 points, but not the elims that we're used to seeing. Meanwhile, Zate, Saf, and Stretch have all of a sudden finally started capitalizing game after game on their uncontested Doom's domain.
And they still have one more game to go where they can still ride out with it. This was the hardest game, early game for them, I would say, because there was a team that invaded there and tried to steal some loot. But still, this was the game where I feel like they popped off so well despite that and had a zone advantage too. Past that, though, Posick, who had a say in that final end game, the 4th place trio, I believe, from game number 5. 7th place over, they get bumped up. Narwhal, Ace, and Glace get bumped down. Xset is still chilling in the top 5. Very hard zone for them. It's the complete opposite side of the map that they really had to play from over there. And Knifer, Snake, and Zlem, off of getting taken out early game, I guess, because we didn't get to find exactly where they got removed, will drop down to 8th place.
Yeah, and before we leave this page, 10 points separates top 1 and 2. But after that, it's only 6 points between second and third, and there's a tie game from there. The top four are basically going to be contesting for this first place in this tournament, and who will end up in first after the end of the day. But still, Xset is lurking nearby. Still, Narwhal, Ace, and Glace can do this, but everybody else basically fighting for a top 5 position. Everything else is pretty much out of reach.
Yeah, over on the next pages, I feel like the stories are still the same. Actually, Cal Clicks and Macwood, who were holding that 10th to 11th place slot, shoved all the way down now to 15th. Ronaldo was there to kind of take over. Rox, AJ, and Vix are all the way at 10th as well. Clarity and Mikey are also being consistent. I'm looking out for these consistent trios who are on this page. They've pretty much been here the entire time. I feel like it's a good look overall for FNCS. 4 moments where they get zone half and half, pull it out and pop off. They can easily hit top 1.
I think certainly in these opens and semi stages where they just have a consistent plan that will last them through, especially those at not the biggest hot drop spots. But regardless, let's move on to the next page and ending up through the rest of these as the queues get started and we get the players into the game. Animal Bully and DJ, they've moved up significantly from where they started. I mean, it's still a middling performance, but I definitely have to say they can find some success. They can find some fixes on their mistakes. And then 18th place, the team that we're definitely looking to beat. Somebody that we're watching pretty much all season as they continue to try to condition their spot. That's the new term I'm using, by the way, not saying grief. Condition their spot. Nice. That's what he said. 18th place, and they're doing it, I guess. But Pandush, Nico, and Haji, they don't really care. They're like, okay, you guys will do this, but they still continue to rise.
I feel like if we're talking about conditioning spots, one trio that's being, I think, conditioned by their spot is 24th place, Scoped, Illust, and Cease. Uncontested, I feel like, for the last 4 or 5 games, or at least when we've tuned in, and somehow still at 24th from Lazy Lake. I'm not sure what's happening completely. I feel like it might just be one of those rotations, or maybe it just might be a day where the end game calls might be off. But if we're looking at predictions for the next FNCS,
real quick. Nico and Pandush, guys, I literally just said you guys don't care. Relax. You guys are chilling. They're literally just playing this out with Nosh and people pushing into them, and they're like, whatever, we're still gonna rise on the leaderboard. You guys, they were down in last place, and all of a sudden they're actually pushing their way up the leaderboard and catching up to the people who are quote unquote conditioning their spot. I mean, for them, I think this is a win, right?
Maybe, but I just don't know where they're going to be getting loot or how they're going to be making end games. Like, you're winning your spot, yeah, but you're dragging people off the map. It's an interesting fight that we haven't really seen stretched that far, but I'm curious as to what happens when these guys can't be vibing early game and want to dominate early all the way to end, right? You want to be in the top 5, the top 10. Past that.
That's 100%. What we need in FNCS, like if they want to be contested, if you guys want to be contested towards the grand final, so we'll see. I mean, still a lot to learn. I think for this day, to me, the battle is won. Even going into this last game, especially if they win this one too, and flip the script. That's what I want to see from them. I want to see them getting loot from the outside and pushing in onto Nosh, Zypha, and Paper. To me, that would be the biggest ultimate win. But I think we do have a shift on the last page. Top Panda, COD Genesis, and Stowe have moved up. Yep. There it is, the loners on the last page. This is so rough, guys. We gotta change this graphic in trios because having this last team on here is just so sad. So sad. Anyways. Yeah.
It's interesting to see the Emox in last as well, because I feel like these guys had a lot of flexibility early game. They were third party and fighting retail. A lot of these teams that are flexing and getting freedom, it feels like are the most constricted and the ones being tied down, which is weird. Once again, going back to Scoped, Illis, and Cease, which I'm just really interested in. I want to see these guys succeed. It's just like these teams that are getting these early rotates off are the ones having the most trouble.
Yeah, I think they'll figure it out, right? Just like Saf and Stretch throughout the day. I mean, they were uncontested, but that doesn't mean that they're like, and they weren't doing well, right? They were doing poor, honestly. Out of game 1 and 2, they fell early in game 1 to Xset. Game 2, I don't know what happened to them, but just because they're uncontested doesn't mean that they have the formula yet, and they'll figure it out, in my opinion. Uncontested is the key, though. For now, they're chilling. If they end up starting to fight off spawn, maybe not. But they've got to find some fix, some way, because they got caught in second zone in another fight. I mean, we've seen it time and time again for them. Over and over, they're in a little box fight that goes a little too long for them, and they don't have that split in the spread that they really are trying to establish. They just got to figure out how that works.
So you're saying is like game 6, it's time to break patterns probably, or just try things to compare them to what you've been doing?
Game 6
really?
of scrims, bro. Like, you've already seen how this is playing, man. Everybody's W King. Everybody's just having a little fun towards the end of the night. Just getting a little loose. It feels like we're moving towards, prac level of play, and we're not even seeing Surge in second zone and stuff like that. I think these guys are chilling a little bit. They're going to play it still hard and still try to figure it out, but things are different right now. This is more figuring out how to defend against a lot of weird situations that end up unfolding rather than trying to execute in the most eloquent way.
Organized manner. Yeah. I feel like as a result, we're going to be seeing some crazy things off spawn. So the fights that we've been seeing against these guys might get just a little bit more flashier, which is going to be a good result of game 6. Like people just trying out weird ways to get eliminations, like you mentioned with Nico's trio, maybe going for the push. But I feel like them being on defense is the reason they're winning, because Zypha did win the first 3 games until these guys switched it up and really made Portaforts and went to the edge of the map. So we'll see exactly what happens there. Past that, I believe game 6 has started, so we are going to be in it very soon.
Yeah. We're getting close. I got a huge shout out again to War Legends for putting this on for NA East for the first time. Thank you so much to these guys. And then, of course, the other language streams that if you're trying to watch in French, there is a stream over at twitch.tv/MCES. Those guys are hanging out and casting the games just like you guys. So Francophones, go over there. And then the Spanish speakers over on Suha GG. That's the Twitch channel. So check that out. So we still have one more game to go. This is going to be the last of the night, probably the loosest of the night. And let's hop right in, because it's live, the bus is launched, and the players are landing.
31 trios in total for this game. We're tuning in with the 4 right now that have been some of the most interesting off spawn, or at least just one of them on the bottom right for me. Nosh, Zypha, Paper. Haven't gotten to see an insight as to where Clarity has been landing, but these guys are top 10. They are going to Dirty Docks uncontested. Coop landing over at Orchard with a split. This is one of the most fun fights, and now with a big steroid, a big boost, Paper found a llama.
Yeah, just in the middle of the street, too, and he's going to split over towards the residential area. That's what he sends. Hotel controlled by them. We've seen this before. This is more a little bit of an organic split. I actually think that this is survivable for both of these guys in the grand final situation. Right? I actually think that this is a viable split for both of them, but obviously, the better you can get, the more worth it's going to be. So this will be a WP forward. Slam winning against Acorn. Macwood fighting Zexro. That's got to be off spawn at Craggy Cliffs. No. What? Wait. How?
Stacks.
What? Where did this come from? Was this uncontested?
I guess they might
nobody knew until the final game, or what?
We'll have to. I mean, we must have been able to see that before, but maybe. I'm feeling like maybe Unknown Chaotic and Zex moved here to push another team off. That team gets moved off. And now Macwood moves in.
There is another team here. I didn't notice.
There's 3 total.
Yeah. There, Animal Bully.
It's Bully's
and DJ, and they weren't here. They were not here. Yeah, Bully lands here normally.
It must have been uncontested.
Yeah. This is weird. And they're all split. They really don't know how to fight here at all. You can already see they're trying to stay together, but normally these fights end up taking place all the way on the side. Nice cleanup on the Unknown, but they still got to work through Animal, Bully, and DJ, and they've got Shield too. Oh no. No health? Yes, the movement works. And they're going up. They got the power position now with the stacks too.
Bully's all the way up top. Lex is in dire need of some type of white health. He does have medkits, but no shield for him now. Snake is taking out Qua and Jack. So these guys who are trying to move in onto their spot, not possible at all. Strobe being taken out by Casper early too. So a new team possibly at Retail Row. I guess people will be able to try out as much as they want right now in terms of the strats or the drops that they haven't really before. It is game number 6. Animal on the wall of Calc will not choose to enter the door. That'll send Calc running way back. Them and Clicks in the same box. Ooh, a trap better set up with Macwood.
I like that.
Because you're controlling that entire layer.
Meanwhile, Paper is now on top of the team. Pandition crew clicks, deletes, Bully deletes
2.
Animal. 2 outs. Degen last. Kauk is rushing on top of him, and he does take him out to close out the fight. They win. Simi stacks and already up to 6 elims. Now we can swap our focus over to a different fight. This one kind of sprung up out of nowhere. Zypha, Paper, and Nash on top of Haji. Nico and Pandoosh. One down. Nico is already knocked, and the heal's back up, but they didn't get the finish.
This time it's a home game for both teams. No ocean in sight. No one's running away and building a big base. He's down in the houses, down on the ground floor. Paper looking for an angle. Does not really want to pickaxe this wall to make any noise. Can't take this wall over and go for an instant edit. Not going to be there. He's trying to get the replace. Knows that there might be an angle here for Nico's foot. He takes it, but it's not going to be a max damage shot. The follow-up is there. Trades over for 70. Nico just revived. Taken out again. Paper gets his shields back up. Could Boogie Bomb too. The threat's there. Calm collected from him. Paper's really working this position and not letting anyone move past. Zypha and Nosh are in together. Haji's down 1v3.
And Dude's last player, and it will end. 3-3 scoreline is how this all falls. For the team at Sweaty Sands, maybe I influenced them a little too much. The fight, though, still breaking out on one of the spots that they were fighting over. This is the Quinjets on the side of the map, and against Snake, Knifer, and Zlem, a team that has been doing so well, but I think now in 9th place as they've fallen multiple times. I think that fight from Zypha and crew has actually affected them significantly.
Maybe it's the fact that the Quinjet is here versus not, that these guys get more contested and influence their entire drop. Stowe is trying for the tracking, but Snake is slithering sky high above him. Now caught Genesis, has to make up for the lost life. Could get a fast trade, but it's not possible. Actually gets his teammate down, though.
Oh, 1 HP on the res. Yes, Panda's here to actually build out and break, and they're definitely going to be able to get this off. I'm concerned now, Knifer getting on the wall, but I don't think this is fast enough. Yes! Stowe back up. And now Chug splashes too. Oh no, this is rough for Snake Knifer, but he gets a big crack. 120 to follow up. 2. Another shot will do. No, but he does do the damage. And on the other side, Knifer has to now 1v2 against Stowe and not Panda. The full finish. No, still caught Genesis alive. They're carrying him back to safety, and I think they're going to be able to get it off. Knifer needs to get in and get in fast.
Getting in versus 2 players is not going to be the situation that's going to be good for you. You're not going to be at an advantage, but it's the only thing you can do, or this revive will go off. There's a charge pump ready too, so this is excellent defense.
What a shot through the yellowed floor. What a shot. Thankfully, Knifer, Snake, and Zlam, although they'll fall in this game, he can make this hurt for the other team, but also they've already gotten 3 elims, so they're not too sad about how this... I mean, of course, they're sad that they're not making it out to endgame, but hey, at least now they can go do whatever the heck they want for the night. As it's over for them, almost gets the cone, but misses the edit, and now this wall is almost unresettable quick enough for not Panda. And so to get through, Caught Genesis, though, will fall. I don't think they have any white health. Creo, Bucky, and Kanata are in a W key moment as well, and they're on to... Who's this? Slacks? No, it's... Eclipse A, and he falls quickly to Creo. The AR tracking through there, and they're possibly going to get the cone. Yes, the slide is in, but Crash Pad's out. Still on all sides. I think the last remaining player, and there it is. Cone in the box. I think he's actually coned him. Boom, done. One more, though, to find. They've already gotten eyes on them. Here's Bucky. Careful. So close to him, but his teammate is there. Creo and Bucky stick to each other like a married couple.
It's always the same with these guys. Crazy, though, the difference in the way they play Slurpee from any other squad I've really seen. Not really spending any time in that POY, making other uncontested spots late contested. And right now, clicks with the moves, the plays.
If he did that, I would have...
The distraction. The distraction, I think, keeps both his teammates alive. Skittles was in that box. No way, if he gets this one pump fast enough.
He's above, though. He's up above now. I think he's gotten a big pot. Oh, the double edits. This is not his control whatsoever. And finally, I think Skittles going to get the edit. He goes for it, though, and he gets the wall, too. Finally, going to get some control in the box. Skittles trying to get in. Possibly edit him down the stairs, though. More space zone coming too, and unfortunately that's an end to their reign. They dominated. They got 2 elims more from where they started, so 8 total for them out of Steamy Stacks. That might be a new POI that they're pushing towards.
It's good to have backup spots. The only thing that's really stopped these guys from performances in the past has been contestation and grand finals at their POI. And once again, Game 6 is where people will have the most, I would say, weird starts or adaptive starts where they just try different strats.
I don't think this is representative of a finals by any chance, by any means, but when you think about the last game in practice, all the way back to the snipe days, man, these were always a little bit more interesting. But hopefully these guys, knowing that this is a little tournament that means a lot for War Legends and their involvement in the future with actual cash prizes, could be interesting. X sets pushing into Sweaty, not Panda again. This is a team that they fought in game number 3 at the Fort Till.
Actually getting this person all the way out. Shaking him down too, no way. And the big pump. This is the coolest strat that is really only possible in team modes. That's because people get knocked, and in solos they don't, but they did.
Oh, okay. So
the reason you carry the person is because yeah. And then the reason what Shark picks up the person is so they can't grief and turn around in 360s to make the head not shootable. And so then it's an easy snipe for your teammate. Small strat, like kind of a 4-head, play, but it's actually 5-head in disguise.
Yeah, five head. That's 5-head. Any over damage on knocked bodies, by the way, if you don't know, for surge damage does count. Just the little intricacies these guys know.
Ooh, Cease gets a knock on someone.
In depth. Oh.
But yeah, that is one of the most in-depth breakdowns you can kind of get into. Jibber Chop rotating. AV has the eye on someone outside of Storm. I can't make out that trio's name from here, but it looks like COD Genesis. Looks like the shakedown these guys had with Panda. COD Gen is down.
Did they reboot him? I'm confused. No. Okay, never mind.
They either kept him alive. Wasn't one person game ended?
Yeah, he was game ended. We talked about that with the sniper.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay.
I just saw another arrow on the map, so I was really confused. I was like, how the heck did they get to reboot that fast? Whatever, man. Whatever, don't judge me.
We're vibing. If we can pull up the map, I'm just curious to see exactly where the zone's going, who's where, what spots are kind of empty.
By the way, finally, that impact that we have of Qua, Jack, and Acorn leaving the Authority, the fight against NPen, Aspect, and Zunis. They get the Authority for free, and then they get this spot to just chill at. One of the easiest things to do. I mean, this is we saw Booga and Stretch and duos be here forever. Back in the drum gun days. Literally forever on the entire map, just shooting sniper shots time and time again.
There's that map. I'm not sure who the yellow guys are at the top left, but interesting. All trios, once again, similar to Game 5. Kind of separated, chilling. Not going to be many box dives happening other than the edge sides of the zone. Bottom right is where it's the tightest. Over here, though, Edgy Commandment sent an invasion onto Authority, the safe spot. Not so safe anymore. Upgrade station taken over. These guys got a side, not grade, but move to the side over. I thought I had a good joke there. Regardless.
It was an attempt. There was an attempt. I like it. Respect the effort.
Side move? I don't know.
Where Zayt and Saf stretch? Where is Ace and Crew? We already saw Xset on the left side of the map. I will give you guys an update on whether any of those big teams are down. No. 0 elims for the Godfathers. 1 elim for 9.
Oh,
we
man.
saw that one.
Lazar, you got to be wearing seatbelts, my friend. All good. He'll learn his lesson next game. Or whenever the next games are. This ain't the highway
that
police.
moment when you're like, I'll see you I'll see you tomorrow. It's like, no, man, school's not on the weekend, bro.
Kind of a enjoy your movie U2 moment.
Have a good flight.
You guys really don't like cars. Yeah. Imagine if that happened and like you lost your ticket. Or like now you have to work the cashier and the cashier goes watches the movie.
What?
Like if it was literal, you know? It's like, oh, okay, thanks. I'll actually take that.
Yeah, it just switches. Hey, they made it out. Off spawn, nice. Delty's now falling though against Edgy and Crew. They're shaking him down. This pickaxe on the wall, this ain't gonna work. Because they know your spots. Edgy almost said it's through, but they're gonna do it anyways. Let's see it. Oh, I like this. Backing up on the other wall. Yes, 160. A big one pump. Second is down on the side. Come on, baby. No, he's down. And Kriznik's down too. That's the wrong wall to pounce on. But Aspect and Crew actually go right back onto it. Commandment is low because of that fight. So Edgy has to build out a little bit. And I think they've found Emad. They're going to shake him down too. Not Emad. Scented. Yes, they're shaking him down. But oh, what a pump from Edgy and another one on Aspect. 100. But he stays alive and Commandment falls too. They're going to be able to pick him back up. And all is good and well in the world of NPen, Aspect, and Zunies. But that was close. My, oh my.
And one pumps came in, but maybe just not in the right order or from the right players. So the trio that was chilling there were the one that were able to survive the most. Now we'll see Nemox's POD. Is it Nemo XD or Nemox?
I don't know. One of the hardest words to, or names to. I literally have never tried to say this guy's name correctly.
I'm gonna roll with Nemo.
Yeah, Nemo sounds good.
Hopefully I'll find.
Good call.
Yeah. X, that's also on the left side. A lot of people are around them. Has polarized Kearney. I'm like surprised that these guys didn't have at least one big showing today.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit before the cast. I think that we expect it. Maybe they'll do it this game, but yeah, you're right. It's hot and cold for them. Sometimes it's really good on the day. Sometimes it's really bad. I don't know why
I would put their playstyle like. Is it zone? I don't think it is. Now Stormers is active though, so we'll see exactly what it could be. Nemo in trouble. These guys are the 33rd place team. It's the one fun fact I know about this game and this team so far. Will they get to the 32nd or even higher? Not from the looks of things. Doom's gauntlets are on them.
Pivot's is lucky again, directly underneath Surge. I'm telling you, man, that's the wave for these guys. Lazar P down. Ace, Glaze, and Narwhal are slightly above. Actually, about 100 damage difference between the two. A little bit less than that, but.
Oh, they're trying to get that explosion down. Close, nice try. Could burn a little bit of wood here and there. You guys didn't know, metal and break only take 20 burn damage and don't actually burn.
And they don't spread either, which is the... Well, that's why you said they don't burn. I guess that makes sense. Thank you.
The name for this trio, by the way, I feel like is the Nice Guys. I alluded to it a little bit before, but I like the Nice Guys.
Guy? Yeah, I don't know if you heard Vivid during scrims.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, have you seen the movie? You know, it's like it's similar.
True.
As to like,
okay,
yeah,
got it. No, Vivid's
it's like a play on that. Yeah,
in any situations, movie or not. All right, 4 elims for Scoped. Okay, that is completely different than what we've seen. I'm wondering, like, if they're trying to activate him throughout the mid game like this, and that's why they're ending up engaging in these box fights because they're confident in them. But I'd rather see them play like positionally. I think with the position that they start off in Lazy Lake. Another box fight for Creo, Bucky, and Kanata in 5th zone again and again and again. They're doing this, and it works out.
They scoop someone all the way to the back of their box. It's gonna be Kearney actually going down. In terms of like Scoped, Illust, and Cease, they're very, when it comes to calls and big moves, 50-50 trio. Love just pushing height. Love pushing boxes entirely. Oh my god. Boogie bombs for Kanata, but it's Polarized, who dances down to his grave. My god, the big pump.
I love that they always just carry the body to safety all the way back into the back of their base so that when they're finishing and looting, they don't have to worry about, a double edit from a position that they didn't pay attention to at all. That's really nice. And here we go once again. The Godfather's on height. Zayt, Saf, and Stretch. 2 eliminations. Doom's Gauntlets. The Mythic Bomb.
I have a hot take.
Yeah, here we go.
This endgame is going to be someone on height with the Doom's Gauntlet. And they're going to win.
Wow, so
hot
brave.
take, controversial. Oh my god.
So
I can't believe you said that.
Oh, they lost last game.
Right.
And the game before.
I have a 99% chance, and those are odds I wouldn't bet on, Like,
minus 572 for Narwhal. Stretch is already up on height. Zayt is doing the things he does with the bounces and shockwaves to get ahead of zone and rebuild for Stretch to connect to towards the ends. This is so easy. Another shockwave for Vivid and Crew. Oh no, he gets blocked on the side, and I think that's as lucky is way ahead of him. The nice guys. I think they finished last is the big question. 537 below, and that's not something that they have an answer for at all. But they are going to start to pressure against X-Sets. Knight gets tagged a little bit. Another one, Clarity. No, does not end up falling or getting any damage at all. So yeah, this is something that they're just going to have to heal through.
they can't really get the damage down, but they could force trios into bad spots to get completely eliminated. And that way Surge just turns off. Very hard to do, though, as a duo. Now getting ticked down, they do have 3 floppers in the minis. Deal game is there. Wow. He says, didn't... he got comboed with Storm Surge. Yeah.
Yeah. Literally got pumped, and then the wrath of the zone ends up taking him completely out. That's so unfortunate. Oh, Bibber with the cone slide. Okay. Almost gets Aspect down. He's solo HP. A couple of zone damage will possibly take him out. Maybe fall 2. But, oh, this is so risky. It's so dangerous for him to get through. There's some metal, though. That might get him a little bit. If he has bounce pads, I'm not sure if those actually exist in his inventory. We're going to ignore them for now. Nosh goes down. Bucky's still alive. Bucky, if he survives, this is the chance here. I think Coop down. Yes, that's the end of that trio. So Coop was in first place. No, there's still one more because he's knocked. And Bucky falls. So they won't overtake. Now Zayt, Saf, and Stretch, the Godfathers against Coop's trio for the first place.
They're only 10 points behind. All they have to do is live. Zayt takes a big shot down, though. People are trying to go for height. Clarity gets absolutely stopped in midair. Now it's up to Zayt. Looking for the next shot. Saf has goofed up with Stretch. Zayt's broken all the way down into a box. Someone else has a mystical bomb now. And there's only 2 people left to be able to try to take first place.
It was Illust and Scope who actually ended up taking advantage of that. Stretch is still on height. I'm wondering how Zayt... I think he just thought that he was saved completely. Meanwhile, Scope and Cease were on that layer, and he didn't realize. Tab G does fall, so I think this might be it. 10 points is all that they need to gain from here over top, depending on the Elim. Skittles still up. He's finding a couple as well, though. No, that's not the end of them. Skittles with 2. He still survives, and that could be a risk against Stretch, Saf, and Zayt. They've got to win over these guys in terms of points. And it's all up to Skittles, who's in zone.
Shockwave up the height, though. Saf has to block. It's D-Roller up top. Stretch actually did not get the right positioning for the jump up. He has to fly back in with the Arcane Gauntlets. Posick and D-Roller is taking over Saf. Saf's knocked out. It's all up to super-powered Stretch. Is he still alive? Must be, but low in zone.
The two players now who are at the top of the leaderboard are solo battling it out. We also have a solo Xset player, AJ, as well by himself. It's Stretch, who does take out Accept against Skittles, who also takes out the roller. Siphon keeps alive and he falls. With only 6 eliminations, that trio continues to rise. Skittles still continuing. Yes, you got another one. Scopes trying to get in the box there. Skittles on the backside. He will fall eventually there in second place. No, third, as now we're in to the final 2 versus 1. Scopes against AV. This is so crucial for him, and he's still got builds to play with and a couple of bounce pads potentially too.
Let's flex that Scope is so low. Cease is there too, but Illis is the one actually who was alive on the other side. Gets the shot down onto AV. A team that was struggling off of spawn finally sees the end game, fixes their mistakes, stays above Surge, and wins out the last game of the tournament.
And it all started with Scoped, 4 eliminations through the mid game. They end with 10, 6 on Scoped himself, but it's Scoped and Illis who end up cleaning out that game. Well played from them, but still there was some, drama in towards the end, all for glory, all for, bragging rights and whatnot. So who knows whether Skittles was actually going full throttle on that one. It was close. Both him and Stretch went all the way towards the end. Skittles slightly outlasted him. So what does that mean for the standings? I think they were out of range for those extra placement points. So I think just 1 point ahead in terms of placement. It all comes down to elims from them, and I'll check exactly how much either of those teams got.
While Bala checks that one out, just big thank you once again to Warlight hosting this one up and giving us a test on the broadcast, letting these guys have a few more stakes with their games and all the viewing parties over from different languages, MCES for the French boys all the way over there in Europe, and then the Spanish boys at Suha GG's channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been amazing so far.
Yeah, merci beaucoup to MCS. Muchas gracias to Suha. Let's take a look at the leaderboards. We got 6 elims for Stretch, Saf, and Zayt. And, of course, 7 for Coop and Crew. So it was too much to overcome. Those extra points end up coming in hugely because I don't know how they got that difference, but wow. Okay, Coop, Skittles, and Tabsy, who were 10 points over in the lead before that, ending up with 1 extra elim and 1 extra placement. That's how that all unfolds. And they will win this War Legend Invitational against a team that, on paper, should have won this tournament hands down. They had uncontested dooms, 6 out of 6 games. That's not going to stay throughout the season.
4 out of 6 games, that struggle really was Storm Surge and the rotations from early to mid game. Stuff that, yes, teams kind of trip off on, but when you're uncontested, things are usually easy to deal with. So interesting to see that for this POI, especially with the loot that you get out of it.
And the most recent back-to-back solo champion of FNCS and DreamHack, Coop, is up on top again in one of these tournaments. We'll have to see if that continues through the tournaments with stakes, because that will be massive for him to really cement himself as one of the best, not only in solos, but in the team modes too. And this is a great start to Season 4.
Absolutely. Just going down that leaderboard too. The Xset trio down at 4th. Once again, consistent. If they're not winning, they're always going to be in that top 5. Good to see there. Both Accept and D-Roller, I feel like they've done in these end games that we've seen, they've retaken the leaderboard, the height really, the top 10 from being kind of in the middle of the pack, 20th place, moving up over and over. Nice push towards the very backside. Narwhal, Ace, and Glace finding struggles in practice are 7th overall today, which is really cool. Nice to see their dynamic. And then Clarity, Niddle, and Mikey just held their spot overall, bumping up to 8th at the very last game.
Yeah, and we'll move over to the second page. Scope, Cease, and Illis, the last game winners. The clutch from those two, Scoped and Illis, puts them all the way up to 9th, where they were really middling for the rest of this tournament. So that's a really nice placement for them to start off pretty rough. But of course, everything is for improvement here. Knifer, Snake, and Zlem started to struggle on the west side of the maps with all the fights that were breaking out, and also Acorn, Jack, and Qua ending up joining into the fray too. So that's a big question for them. They ended up pushing out west to try to gain a little bit more space, but costing them a little down the road.
And then the 12th place, Matt Keys and Casker. These guys who I feel like lost more today off spawn one on the leaderboards. And I just think the fight in total, because they were higher placed in the tournament overall for their counterparts, Fernando and his squad, 12th place overall. Past there, I feel like we have one more page just to go through to see exactly what the bottom half of this tournament looked like. The nice guy, 17th place, is Lucky, Vivid, and Lazar, struggling from the mid to end game portions. 17th so far. I feel like it's just one of those days, though, and these guys have their playstyle and their roles on lock.
Yeah, I think so too. And there's still a little bit of struggles with Surge for that team, but I think they've figured out the ways to get towards the end of the game pretty much every single time. A solid average placement, only a couple games ending falling outside that fifth zone. Strobe, Goosh, and Statsy, to me, they were up there. I think they were third place at one point, maybe after game 1 and 2, but falling all the way at 18th. I wonder what happened for them. Has, Furious, and Avery, they were up there in the top 10 to start. They started off really strong. They had that really nice play from Has and Avery, I think, to take one of the games today. Aspect, NPen, and Zunis did win. For them, this day was a success. This day, the battle for them at the Authority, this day they came out and conquered. Animal Bully, DJ, I don't know what was going on with them, but they ended up landing over towards Steamy in the final game. I'm wondering if that was a switch up. We didn't get too much perspective on them. Typhoon, Legedian, and Summer, they were fighting what at Coral Castle for so long. Yeah, and it felt like every game they were losing. So to see them 22nd is actually pretty surprising for me, not gonna lie.
It's that one game where they kind of won out against all odds from Storm all the way to endgame and then affected Height. So I think it's good on Legend D, and he was leading that charge the entire time. I want to see if that's the dynamic, if there's one star player followed by the two supports. Regardless, past that, more Steamy Stacks news with Zexro, Unknown, and Chaotic ended up there. I might actually be getting confused slightly. Because actually no, Mac was there too. So with Zexro not playing with that trio, I gotta differentiate. But regardless, they're there. So that story continues. I want to see who's gonna own that POI on the back half or the back quarter of the final pages. You mentioned them. Jaqua and Acorn struggled today off spawn, finding their identity. Fernando, Icy, and Cloud as well, winning a lot of fights, getting eliminations, 14 in total. Same story as Assault, Daxor, and Agers. Didn't win out the day. Didn't get to see any end games.
Yeah, Fernando, Icy, and Cloud, they were at Retail Row for a long time. They definitely got to find identity after winning the fights, because they did win a significant majority of them, but not able to find the space after that. Not Pandacon, Genesis, and Stowe move off of the backside of this, but there were so many times they were engaged in random fights throughout the west side of the map, not only on X set, but also into Sweaty. And then finally, thank you to all our participants today. So much. It's Nemo, Potju, and Fatch. They struggle to find. I mean, they had an uncontested split down in outside of Retail Row on those mountains, but I guess chat when you have chat, Jamper, and Strep playing on that side, it's just too difficult to overcome.
Yeah, maybe it's just the end games that need to be fixed. Maybe there's a lot of things that we need to keep track of, and we will. As more trios keep playing in NA East and all other regions, it's going to be really interesting to see how things lead up to the FNCS. The teammates we saw play today might not be there with each other the next time we tune in on broadcast. So, with that being said, my final words are just interesting things that we're seeing in out of Storm and Endgame. NA East is looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, this was a fun day all around. Huge thanks again to War Legend for putting this on. Flux, Quartz, Spatio, Husky for working on this project with the NA East community. Thank you so much. This was a blast to watch. And a blast to really shine a spotlight on scrims overall from all the different perspectives with the live spec mode and all the awesome tools that War Legend's developing. So huge props to them. Go follow them at WL Fortnite on Twitter, and obviously here on Twitch. Drop that little heart so that you can follow if any other tournaments go on. For that, or for us, congrats to Coop, Skittles, and Tabs G for their win in this tournament. We're done here, so thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys, hopefully, next time.